My beloved child, stop scrolling for just a moment. I need you to stay right here. If you scroll away too soon, you might miss the very word that was appointed to unlock the season you have been praying for. This is not a coincidence. I have drawn you to this moment on purpose, with absolute precision. What I am about to reveal to you is going to explain everything you have been feeling but couldn't find the words to name. You have been seeing things but couldn't interpret them, carrying burdens you didn't know how to release. You need to hear every single word because woven into this message is a key, a shift, and a signal for your life. Stay with me. Do not let the enemy steal this moment from you. Don't blink, don't pause, and don't tell yourself you will come back later. Watch this all the way through because before this ends, I am going to expose what the silence has actually been saying to you. I am going to unveil the reason you have been hidden away, and I will ignite the next instruction that heaven has been holding back for this exact time. This is not just a video you are watching, this is a visitation. Are you ready? Good. Press in. My beloved child, I shaped this whisper before your first heartbeat, before your first tear fell, before the first prayer ever left your lips. I wove this message into the very DNA of your destiny and buried it beneath layers of time and trials. Now, I am bringing it forward, not as a loud, booming declaration, but as a sacred unveiling. You see, only a heart that has endured what you have endured can truly receive what I am about to place into your spirit. You were never meant to receive this revelation when things were easy. No, I reserved it for right now, when your spirit is raw enough to be reached, tender enough to absorb my glory, and courageous enough to trust what your eyes still cannot see. This is the moment I have been waiting for. And yes, child, even heaven waits. I waited until you reached a place where the distractions fell away and that deep ache inside of you became a quiet altar ready to host my voice. This whisper is not weak. It is holy. It is only quiet because it carries the kind of power that does not need to shout to prove itself. I have watched how you have tuned your ears to every other sound, every opinion, every prediction, every fear disguised as wisdom, and still, none of it satisfied you. That is because nothing else was designed to unlock what I buried inside you. Only this word, and only now. What I want to tell you is not simply comfort, it is calibration. It is alignment. It is me reaching through all the clutter of your anxious thoughts to place something in your hands that cannot be dropped. There are treasures in heaven that cannot be shouted across the mountaintops. They must be whispered into the wounded places, into open hearts that have been softened by surrender. That is why this message, this sacred breath, is not coming to you with lightning and spectacle. It is coming in stillness because it was always intended to awaken something that performance could never stir. I am not here to impress you. I am here to indwell you with the clarity you have been craving. As I whisper, you will feel the walls you built for self-protection begin to melt, not because they were evil, but because they are no longer necessary. My voice is your shelter now. My presence is your clarity. My word is the door that opens not outward, but inward, into the deepest chambers of who you are. So breathe, child. Let this whisper wash over you like warm water over stone. Let it shape you again. Let it remind you that you are not forgotten, you are not overlooked, and you are not empty. In this moment, you are the only one I am speaking to, and I have something to tell you that will shift everything. Child, let this truth enter you like thunder wrapped in a whisper. What I am about to say has not been broadcast to the masses, nor diluted by repetition. This is not a recycled word. It is a revelation hand carved for the architecture of your unique soul. You were not called to a conveyor belt of common comfort. You were called to an encounter. This message is sealed with your essence, crafted before time, preserved through your warfare, and protected from contamination. It is your scroll, yours alone, and I have unsealed it for this exact moment. No one else can carry what I am about to place inside your spirit. Others may try to copy your calling or mimic your moments, but they will never replicate what I wrote into your design. I did not write this word for the crowd. I wrote it for your calling. I tailored it to the tempo of your timeline. While others were being comforted, you were being carved. While others sought to pause, I was sculpting you in secret. And now I lift the veil because, child, I know exactly how you have felt. You have watched others ascend to stages and spotlights while you sat in stillness. You have seen doors swing open for voices that seemed less prepared, less broken, less bruised by the cost of obedience than you. And you wondered if I skipped over you. No, I didn't skip you. I saved you. I saved you for something sacred. I preserved your revelation so it wouldn't become contaminated by the noise of the world. What I am doing in you cannot be rushed, repeated, or reduced. It required stillness, isolation, and divine timing so that when I finally spoke it, it would cut through your questions like a river cutting through dry desert land. And now the time has come. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are exactly where I have positioned you to hear what no crowd could ever comprehend. The message I am about to give you is not just for this season, it is a map for your mandate. It is not merely information, it is impartation, and it will fit you like only heaven's hand tailoring can. Others could never wear this mantle because they didn't bleed for it. You did. You bore the cost. You held the line. You stood in places that cracked your confidence but clarified your calling. And now, child, this is your release. You see, I don't distribute destiny like cheap trinkets tossed to a crowd. I am not a showman, I am a sculptor. I chisel slowly, lovingly, and deliberately. And you, yes, you, have become a masterpiece molded through mercy and fire. The world may have called your journey a delay, but I call it a divine design. Every closed door, every long night, every silent answer, every aching moment, they were brushstrokes in a painting no one else could interpret yet. And now the canvas is turning. I am flipping it around. What once looked like chaos to you will now be seen as a portrait of precision. Because I am not only the God who calls, you must know this, I am the God who customizes. And what I whisper now will make your next steps undeniable. So lean in deeper still. Don't doubt what is stirring in you right now. That feeling rising in your chest like holy fire. It is the sign that the scroll is opening. This word is yours. Unmistakably, irrefutably, undeniably yours. And I won't let it fall to the ground. Let's stay here for just a moment longer, because what you are sensing now, the trembling, the chills, the tears sitting just beneath the surface, it is not just emotion. It is evidence. It is evidence that your spirit recognizes what your mind has yet to understand. This isn't information, this is activation. I am activating the you that has been buried under everyone else's expectations. I am reawakening the calling that outgrew its old container. I am inviting you into a frequency that the crowd cannot hear because it was tuned for your ears alone. So don't silence the stirring. Don't minimize the moment. Don't mistake this message as merely a metaphor. It is a mantle, and I place it on your shoulders now with the same hands that held you through your undoing. Wear it boldly. Walk with reverence, because I have something to tell you. And it begins with this: you were never overlooked, you were orchestrated. Oh, my child, how many nights have I watched you lie awake, your eyes scanning a dark ceiling as if searching for some celestial sign that I haven't left you? How many days have you walked with your head bowed, not in surrender but in silent sorrow, wondering if I still speak, if I still care, if I still see you amidst the flood of needs from everyone else? You have whispered prayers that felt like they evaporated before reaching the heavens. You have scanned the silence for signs and strained your ears for whispers that never came the way you expected. But listen to me and let this truth flood your heart. I never stopped speaking. Not for a second. My voice has filled the air around you. My words have danced in the wind, soaked into the silence, and echoed in the ache. I never stopped speaking. I was simply speaking beneath the noise, and I needed your soul to settle before it could finally recognize me. You see, my voice doesn't compete. I don't shout over your distractions. I don't barge through the barricades of your busyness. I wait patiently, lovingly, intentionally. Because my words are not decorations, they are destiny. They require room to root, space to settle, and stillness to speak through. I saw how cluttered your soul had become, not from rebellion, but from trying to survive. I saw how you filled your time with movement, activity, and solutions, anything to drown out the ache of feeling unheard. But my voice does not echo through chaos. It hovers in the quiet. It rests in the pause. It blooms in the stillness. And so I waited, not in frustration, but in fierce affection. I waited for the soil of your spirit to soften. I waited for your soul to stop striving long enough to feel the whisper of wonder I was preparing to release. And now I speak from afar but from within, not with volume but with weight, not with thunder but with a truth that will thunder inside your bones. Child, you must understand something. The silence wasn't absence, it was atmosphere. I wasn't far away. I was flooding your inner world with preparations for this very moment. My voice was moving in ways you couldn't trace. Every moment of restlessness you mistook for abandonment was actually me realigning your hearing. I dismantled old frameworks so my new frequency could be heard without distortion. I wasn't being distant, I was drawing you deeper. Not to punish you, but to prepare you. Because what I am about to speak next will not only shake your life, it will shape your legacy. And I had to make sure your heart could hold it without collapsing under the weight. I love you too much to speak prematurely. I value you too deeply to release revelation before your spirit could truly steward it. And now you are ready. The stillness has settled, the soil has softened, the heavens are open, and I am speaking again. Not because I was ever silent, but because now you are finally still enough to hear me clearly. So now, as I speak, let every false conclusion fall. Let every lie crumble. Let every delay be redefined. You didn't miss your moment, child. Your moment just matured. You didn't lose my voice. You just hadn't learned its new frequency. But now, in this divine hour, you will not just hear me. You will know me in ways that undo the ache, unravel the doubt, and rewrite your story from ashes to glory. I am here, child, and I have so much more to tell you. Oh, child, if only you could see what I see when I look at you. If only you could feel the fire that still burns in my heart when I speak your name. You have wondered, haven't you? In the quiet hours when shame slithered in through the cracks of your soul, whispering lies disguised as logic. You have questioned whether you missed it, messed it up, or moved too far for me to still want you. But hear me now, with the thunder of truth breaking every false echo within you. I have not changed my mind about you. Not once, not for a breath, not even for a blink in eternity. I am not a man that I should lie, nor am I fickle like the voices that left you when you failed to meet their expectations. I am constant, I am covenant, I am creator, and what I authored in you, I intend to finish flawlessly, fiercely, and fully. Let me show you what your pain tried to blur. I didn't fall in love with the version of you that performs. I fell in love with you, the messy, magnificent, marred by life but marked by heaven version of you. I loved you when you didn't know how to love yourself. I chose you when you were still hiding behind your failures. And I still choose you now, scars and all. You have mistaken your weakness as a reason for me to withdraw, when in fact, it is the very reason I draw near. You believed that your detours disqualified your destiny. But child, the detour didn't destroy the plan, it revealed it. I use broken roads to lead to sacred places. I use cracked vessels to carry holy oil. My love isn't impressed by perfection, it is ignited by surrender. And when I look at you, I don't see a mistake I regret. I see a miracle I am still writing. You need to know something sacred. I don't regret the calling I placed on your life. I don't question the timing. I don't reconsider the anointing I poured over your head in secret. The enemy has tried to trick you into thinking my silence meant a revoked assignment. But child, silence is not severance, it is strategy. I hide the most glorious things until their time has come. And you are still on schedule. I didn't pause my purpose when you stumbled. I didn't cancel your calling when you hesitated. My love is not a contract that can be broken. It is a covenant sealed with blood, forged in fire, and etched into eternity. And I say again, I have not changed my mind about you. Even when you stopped praying, even when you questioned me, even when you thought about giving up, I didn't flinch. I didn't fold. I stayed because I am. And I am not finished. So come back into alignment. Not by force, but by faith. You haven't fallen out of favor. You have simply fallen into fear. Let me lift you. Let me remind you that the blueprint hasn't changed. The anointing hasn't dried up. The vision hasn't been voided. You are still my chosen, still my beloved, still the one I placed in the earth for such a time as this. I don't love you less when you limp, I just hold you closer. So rise again, not in your strength, but in mine. I still call you, I still see you, I still want you, and I have never changed my mind about you. Child, I need you to see your pain differently now. Not as punishment, not as proof of abandonment, but as preparation so divine, so deliberate that even the angels bowed in silence as I wove it into your story. You have cried behind closed doors, thinking your tears were wasted, thinking they were signs of failure. But I tell you, every drop that fell from your eyes watered a harvest no one saw coming. Every ache was a seed, every heartbreak was a hidden blueprint. And now I reveal this to you, not to revisit your suffering, but to redeem it. The pain you endured didn't erase your purpose, it enhanced it. It didn't cancel the call, it clarified it. And though it nearly broke you, child, it also built you. It stretched you in silence, molded you in mystery, and forged you in the furnace of my presence. Let me be clear. What tried to destroy you was never stronger than the destiny I placed inside you. The fire didn't consume you, it consecrated you. The rejection didn't break you, it refined you. The betrayal didn't end your story, it opened a portal to the part of your calling you never knew existed. You were not just surviving, you were being sculpted like clay under the pressure of the potter's hand. You were being shaped into a vessel worthy to carry what others could not. You thought the crushing meant I had left, but child, I was closest during the breaking. I was the one catching the pieces, holding them, and piecing you together into something unshakable. You felt pain, yes, but I felt purpose. Every time you said, yes, through gritted teeth, heaven recorded it as a roar. You didn't suffer in vain. You suffered in sacred alignment. I protected you through that pain. Even when you thought I was punishing you, I was shielding your purpose from what would have sabotaged it. The doors that shut weren't denials, they were diversions from disaster. The people who left weren't lost, they were removed for preservation. I knew the weight of your assignment, and I guarded it with a ferocity you couldn't yet comprehend. You thought I was silent, but I was strategizing. You thought I abandoned you, but I was anchoring you. I allowed you to walk through shadows, not to punish your path, but to prepare your platform. And now what I have hidden in the pain is rising in power. The very places you bled will become the places you bless. The very wounds that tried to label you will become windows through which others see my glory. So don't despise the scars. Don't apologize for the journey. Your pain has positioned you in places no platform ever could. It gave you eyes to see, ears to hear, and a heart that beats in rhythm with the hurting. I trusted you with pain, not to destroy you, but to deliver something through you. And now the delivery begins. What was forged in silence is about to speak loudly. What you carried alone will soon touch many. But let this be the truth that roots you. Even when things begin to bloom, your pain didn't ruin you. It revealed you. It didn't end your purpose, it enthroned it. And I will use it all. Every ache, every tear, every moment you thought would never make sense. It makes sense now, child, because I was with you in the pain, and I am with you now in the rising. Yes, I saw you. I saw you in that room where your breath caught in your chest and your voice barely made it past your lips. I saw you kneeling with questions that felt like anchors around your soul. I saw your hands shake as you tried to lift them in surrender. You didn't feel holy in that moment, you felt hollow. But I want you to hear me clearly, child, that was holy. That trembling prayer, that broken whisper, that fragile yes, it shook the gates of hell more than the loudest sermon ever could. Heaven didn't need your strength, I responded to your surrender. When you knelt in the dust of your disappointment and still dared to whisper my name, I leaned in. I gathered your breath as worship. I stored your silence as a song. And the universe went still because you, fragile, hurting, exhausted you, chose to believe when belief felt like betrayal. You see, faith isn't always loud. It's not always fire. Sometimes faith is a whisper through clenched teeth. Sometimes it is showing up when your heart has nothing left but a memory of a promise. And child, you showed up. You showed up to the altar of your exhaustion and still said, God, I trust you. Even when the walls around you closed in, even when no one noticed your perseverance, even when my answers felt like silence. You did not walk away. Your voice may have trembled, but your spirit stood tall in ways you didn't even realize. You believed in the middle of contradiction. You believed when it didn't add up. And that was the offering that caught fire on heaven's altar. Don't you see? Faith that defies logic is the rarest fragrance. And yours has saturated the courts of glory. Every word you whispered in the dark was a spark in the spirit. Every night you stayed awake asking, why haven't you come through yet? I was there, not offended by your questions, but honored by your pursuit. You thought your voice was too weak to reach me, but child, your ache spoke louder than any perfected prayer. The angels leaned closer when you spoke through your tears. The heavens took notes when you lifted your voice through your pain. You thought your moment of doubt disqualified you, but I saw it as devotion in disguise. Your trembling didn't offend me, it revealed your tenacity. And I am telling you now, I will reward every tear that fell in secret. I will honor every whispered word spoken in faith. So now, when the enemy tries to tell you that you failed, that your fear made you unworthy, that your weariness meant you were weak, silence him. Tell him about the time you prayed when no one else knew you were falling apart. Tell him how you dared to believe in a God you couldn't feel. Tell him how you stayed when you could have strayed, because that trembling prayer marked you in heaven. That whisper moved mountains in the unseen. And now, I will make that same whisper a roar in your life. I will echo that trembling belief through the corridors of your future until it becomes a testimony that outlives every lie. You prayed with trembling, and I answer with power. Oh beloved, how many nights did you cry quietly, careful not to let anyone hear you? How many times did you excuse yourself from the room just to let the tears fall where no one could see? I saw every single one. Not one tear slid down your face without my notice. Not one sob, not one sigh, not one silent breakdown went undocumented by heaven. Your tears were never wasted water. They were sacred seeds, bidden in pain, watered by faith. And now they are about to bloom in a way that defies logic and expectation. You cried in silence, but I am about to respond in a roar. I've kept the record. Not out of pity, but out of promise, and I am now breathing over the ground those tears fell upon. That soil is about to sing. Child, Do not despise the tears. Do not apologize for the seasons when you couldn't hold yourself together. The world might reward composure, but I honor honesty. And your tears were your truest prayers. They carried the essence of your unspoken battles. They rose like incense, laced with pain, saturated with surrender. You were never weak because you wept. You were wise enough to release what your soul could no longer carry. Your tears told me what your words couldn't. They spoke of wounds you were too tired to explain. They revealed the weight you were never meant to carry alone. And as each one fell, I caught it, not in a jar of glass, but in the folds of my robe. I wore your sorrow. I cradled your grief. I became intimately acquainted with your ache because I was never watching from a distance. I was kneeling beside you. I want you to understand this, child. Tears are not signs of defeat. They are tokens of the process. The pain that produced them didn't pull you away from me. It pulled me closer to you. Every drop carried the DNA of your destiny. Every tear carried the ingredients of transformation. And now the ground where they fell is no longer barren. You are about to walk through a harvest field that others didn't even see you planting. They didn't see the nights you wept yourself to sleep. They didn't hear the whispered, "Why?" through cracked lips. But I did. I didn't just hear, I felt it. I entered the grief. I wrapped myself in it with you. And I marked the place of your sorrow as holy ground. And now that ground is breaking open. Be prepared, beloved, because what is springing up will not be small. This is not a trickle, it's a torrent. What I am bringing forth is not a consolation prize, it is a commission promise. The tears you wept in the dark are now calling forth light. They are calling forth justice. They are calling forth joy that will not be denied. You wept, and I will answer. You mourned, and I will move, not because your tears manipulated me, but because they moved me deeply. Eternally, you will no longer walk with swollen eyes and silent grief. You will walk with a lifted head, with healing in your hands, and with the fragrance of resurrection trailing behind your every step. What you wept over will now become the well others drink from. And child, I never waste tears. I turn them into triumph. Yes, I watched as the pressure mounted. I saw the cracks forming. I heard the sound of your inner world groaning beneath burdens too complex to name. And I know it felt like you were breaking, like pieces of you were shattering beyond repair. But child, let me whisper this holy truth into the chambers of your weary heart. You didn't break, you were being broken open. And there is a divine difference. The enemy told you it was the end, but I was whispering, this is the beginning. What looked like collapse was actually consecrating. You weren't falling apart, you were falling into purpose. I wasn't standing at a distance watching you fracture. I was holding you in my hands, applying just enough pressure to release what I buried inside of you before time began. Something eternal had to flow, and only a cracked vessel can carry it. The world teaches you to fear breaking, to avoid it, to pretend. But I am not after perfection, I am after pouring. Child, your life was sealed too tight with self-protection to let the oil flow. I had to break open the shell you built, crafted from survival, trauma, performance, pride, and fear, so that the fragrance of heaven could be released through you. What the world called a breakdown, I called birthing pains. What others saw as collapse, I saw as cracking the chrysalis so the wings could stretch. I allowed the breaking not to harm you, but to hollow out space for glory. The same hands that formed you were the hands that carefully unsealed you. I didn't tear you apart. I tenderly opened you up because inside you, I planted eternity. And now that eternity is starting to breathe, let me speak plainly. If you had stayed whole in the way the world defines wholeness, you would have missed the miracle. If you had held yourself together perfectly, you would have been too rigid for the river I am about to release. You are not a cracked pot, rejected and cast aside. You are a vessel that now leaks light. You carry the kind of glory that only pours from those who have been pressed in private. You carry a fragrance the crowd could never create. You carry me, child. And now that flow begins, not with a shout, but with a slow, steady stream that will water places around you that have been bone dry. You will see it in the way you speak, the way you love, the way you discern, the way others are drawn to the overflow in you without even knowing why. So don't curse the breaking, bless it. Don't resent the pain, honor it. It was not your undoing. It was the unveiling. You weren't being destroyed, you were being destined. I allowed the cracks so my oil could find release. And child, what is coming from you now will not be temporary. It will not be shallow. It will not be performative. It will be eternal. And when people ask, "How are you still standing?" you will smile with tears in your eyes and say, "Because I was broken open, not broken down." And what came out wasn't me, it was the glory of God. I know it's been hard, beloved. I know the stillness felt suffocating. The unanswered prayers echoed louder than screams. The calendar kept turning while your hope stayed still. You wondered if I forgot you, skipped you, passed you over in favor of someone more prepared, more pure, more perfect. But hear me, really, hear me. What you called silence was not my absence, it was my strategy. I wasn't ignoring you, I was insulating you. I was hiding you in a holy hush, not because you were unworthy, but because the timing had to be flawless. The very thing you mistook for punishment was protection in disguise. I didn't delay to tease you, I delayed to defend you. You see, there are things you prayed for that would have broken you had I said yes too soon. There are rooms you asked to enter that were filled with counterfeit favor. There are people you longed to be affirmed by whose intentions would have drained your soul dry. So I waited because I love you more than your need for speed. I waited because I saw what you couldn't. I stood between you and devastation disguised as a missed opportunity. I blocked doors and routed paths and orchestrated detours that protected what you couldn't yet perceive. Yes, the delay was divine. Not a denial, not a rejection. It was refinement. It was me whispering in the language of silence, saying, "Hold on. I'm working." And now, child, the delay is lifting. Not because I've just now decided to move, but because the atmosphere has finally aligned with the weight of what you're meant to carry. I wasn't slow, I was synchronizing. I was not late, I was layering details in dimensions you couldn't see. And when you cried out and heard nothing, I wasn't gone. I was deeper than sound. I was weaving timelines, positioning people, aligning provision, and sealing your blessing with timing so accurate that even 1 second off would have compromised its impact. I am not just the God of promises, I am the God of perfect timing. And I would rather let you misunderstand me for a moment than let you walk into something unprepared and unravel what I have taken years to develop in you. So today, let the lie of abandonment die in my presence. Let the myth of rejection be buried. I have been here all along, and I have not wasted a second. What you thought was void was actually a vault of goodness, a vault of revelation, a vault of movement so intricate it couldn't be seen on the surface. But now, the vault is opening, and now the whisper becomes a wind. Now the silence breaks with sudden clarity, and when it does, child, you will weep, but not from sorrow. You will weep from the sheer beauty of realizing that I was never withholding from you. I was weaving for you. And everything you thought was lost was simply layered for this unveiling. The delay was never denial, it was design. My precious child, I heard the thoughts that whispered through the corners of your heart when the night grew long. You wondered if maybe, just maybe, you had been forgotten. But today, I tell you what heaven has known all along, you were not forgotten. While the world moved on, I leaned in. While you sat alone in spaces no one else noticed, I was writing lines into a story too holy to be rushed. Your name has been echoing through the halls of glory, not as an afterthought, but as a headline in a heavenly manuscript no demon can delete. Do you think I would forget the one I bled for? The one I formed with fire and tenderness? I etched your name not on paper, but on the palm of my own hand. And while you thought nothing was happening, I was crafting a plot so prophetic, so precisely designed that even your deepest disappointment will one day bow in reverence to what I wrote. You see, you wanted answers, but I was authoring atmospheres. You were looking for proof, but I was writing prophecy. You were checking the clock, but I was aligning chapters. I haven't been ignoring your cries. I've been building a story that requires divine timing to make sense. And now that story is about to be read aloud, not by you alone, but by those who said you were finished. By those who mistook your silence as insignificance. They will read the pages I penned in secret and wonder how you survived. But I will know, you survived because I was scripting salvation into every scene. Hell tried to erase your name, but I re-engraved it in a place darkness cannot reach. I assigned angels to guard the pages of your life. I placed spiritual ink on your destiny that the enemy cannot smear. You were not lost in the shuffle. You were sealed for something sacred. What I have written over you carries a weight hell cannot withstand. And now the time has come for the pages to turn. I am lifting the veil. The storyline that once felt like confusion will suddenly feel like confirmation. The long chapters of waiting will make sense in the light of what I'm about to reveal. I have not wasted one moment of your obscurity. I was inscribing power into your plot. The scene you thought was a dead end was actually the doorway into divine release. So no, you were never forgotten. You were being forged. You were not dismissed. You were divinely documented. And I promise you this, when this next chapter begins to unfold, it will carry my fingerprints so clearly that no one, not even you, will be able to deny who wrote it. Your name is safe with me. Your story is sealed in victory. And I, the author and the finisher, am not done writing. Not yet, not even close. The best chapter begins now. Child, stop and breathe. This moment right here, this breath, this pause, this tug in your spirit is not random. It is not coincidental. It is a divine appointment etched into eternity's timeline long before your lungs ever drew breath. Heaven didn't stumble upon this second. I scheduled it. I circled it in light while you were still being formed in the dark. And now, what you feel stirring inside of you isn't just emotion. It is a holy alarm sounding deep in your spirit. This is the moment I have been waiting for. And yes, I have been waiting too. You are not the only one who has been longing. I have longed to whisper this word into your life. I have longed to meet you at this sacred intersection where your ache meets my answer. Where your pause meets my presence, where your silence meets my shout. Everything I have done in your life, every redirection, every delay, every detour, every closed door, was steering you here. You see, I don't just plan seasons, I plan seconds. I don't just orchestrate years, I ordain instants. This exact moment was marked with divine ink on heaven's scroll. Not because you were random, but because you were rare. You were a vessel that carries weight, a soul that heaven recognizes. And when I plan a meeting with you, it is not passive, it is prophetic. This moment you are in right now carries destiny. It holds design. It drips with divine choreography. Nothing is misplaced, not the timing, not your emotions, not even your questions. They are all part of the appointment, and I have shown up right on time. There are things I want to reveal in this moment that cannot be repeated in another. There are doors I am opening now that won't swing like this again. And child, this is not to make you fear, it is to make you focus. Don't scroll past this moment like it is common. It is not. This is holy ground disguised in an ordinary hour. And if you will sit still long enough, if you will let my voice become louder than your inner chaos, You will see it, the divine fingerprints all over this minute. The angelic traffic moving in response to your surrender. The heavenly alignment clicking into place like clockwork. The heavens are open. The air is charged. This isn't just a message. This is a meeting. This is a mandate, and it was made with you in mind. Listen closely. This moment isn't about giving you chills. It is about giving you charge. It is not about inspiration. It is about impartation. What I place into your spirit now will birth things you don't even have language for yet. You will look back and realize this was the hour everything changed. The reason you feel both shaken and seen is because I have stepped into the atmosphere with intention. You are not drifting, you have arrived. Welcome to the appointment that heaven never rescheduled, never postponed, never forgot. I am right on time, and I am not leaving until something eternal is planted inside of you. You have been feeling the tension, haven't you? That sense that something is shifting, something stretching, even though everything around you still looks the same. You have wondered if you are stuck, if your faith hit a ceiling, if your prayers are parked in a waiting room with no doors. But child, hear me, you are not standing still. You are standing on the edge of something sacred. You are not at a dead end, you are at a divine edge. And while it may feel like nothing is moving, the truth is everything is moving. The currents beneath the surface of your life are raging with divine activity. Angels are walking routes in your direction. My spirit is stirring the waters. I am aligning people, places, and moments with such precision that even one wrong step would have misaligned the glory I am about to release. So, I held you here not to delay you, but to anchor you. Sometimes my movements look like stillness because they are so deep, so strategic, so surgical that they cannot be measured by visible motion. You have looked for signs, I have been writing systems. You have watched the horizon for progress, I have been building infrastructure underneath your feet. And now you are standing at a threshold. Don't confuse the quiet with inactivity. Don't mistake the pause for passivity. This is not stagnation. It is sacred suspension. I am holding you on the edge because the moment I say, go, you won't be able to unsee what is about to unfold. I didn't bring you this far to stop now. I didn't invest heaven's resources just to leave you watching from the sidelines. You are not idle, you are igniting. And what is coming will not be a gentle drift forward, it will be a sudden surge. You must know this. Some of the greatest divine shifts begin in silence. Noah didn't feel the floodwaters until the ark door closed. Esther didn't sense the kingdom turning until the scepter was extended. And you, child, are standing in that kind of moment, the kind where all of heaven holds its breath. Not because it doubts you, but because it knows what's next. You have been trained in the tension. You have been prepared in private. You have been steadied through seasons that tried to shake your very core. And now, all of it has positioned you to stand on this holy edge. You are not simply waiting, you are watching the horizon for the command I am about to speak. Be still, not because you are stuck, but because you are strategically stationed. Be alert, not anxious. Be ready, not restless. The river is rising under your feet. The winds are shifting in your favor. And when the movement begins, it will carry you further in one moment of my timing than years of striving ever could. You are standing at the brink of breakthrough. You are on the threshold of the turning. And the edge you feel beneath your feet? That is not the end of the road, it is the beginning of the reveal. I have something to tell you, and this moment is not just for you, it is for the thousands I am drawing through your obedience. When you sow into this word, you don't just support a message, you send my voice to places your feet may never go. Just as I said in Isaiah chapter 55:11, my word shall not return void, but it needs vessels to carry it. You are that vessel. Your giving becomes the oil that keeps this fire burning, the seed that will reap a harvest of souls. I chosen you for this moment not just to receive, but to release. If you have been stirred, then sow right now, through the links provided, and watch how I multiply your offering and open doors no man can shut. Oh my precious child, I didn't miss a moment of your believing. Not just the bold declarations you made in public, but the quiet courage you clung to in private. I saw the verses you repeated through tears. I heard the prayers you prayed through clenched teeth, barely above a whisper. But more than just seeing your faith, I felt the ache behind it. A holy ache, the one that can't be faked or forced. The ache that says, God, I believe, but I'm bleeding. The ache that says, I trust you, but this hurts. I didn't dismiss that ache, I absorbed it. I wrapped it in my mercy. I held it in the depths of my heart. And I promise you this, I am responding now, not with a trickle, but with a flood of movement, a flood of healing, a flood of breakthrough that can no longer be withheld. You have to understand how powerful your faith has been to me. Not the kind that always feels strong, but the kind that keeps showing up when everything in you wants to walk away. The kind that stands in the storm, not because the storm is over, but because your soul refuses to back down. That kind of faith is dangerous to darkness. It is disruptive to delay. It is attractive to heaven. You didn't realize it, but your ache-laced belief was stirring the waters of the supernatural. Every time you chose to worship while wounded, something shifted in the unseen. And now the dam is breaking. I have heard the cries. I have seen the stretching. I have counted the cost. And heaven has reached its tipping point. The ache has become activation. The ache has become acceleration. I am sending the flood not just to comfort you, but to carry you. This flood will not overwhelm you, it will overtake the lies. It will wash away the residue of despair. It will rush into places that have been dry for years. It will cleanse and commission. It will heal and herald. It will do in days what decades of human effort could never accomplish. And child, this flood isn't random. It is responsive. It is not punishment, it is promotion. I am not sending it to sweep away your stability. I am sending it to reveal the strength I have built in you. You won't drown in this outpouring, you will rise. You won't be swept away, you will stand taller. Because what I am sending was born of affection. So lift your eyes, feel the wind shift, sense the air thicken. What is coming isn't subtle, it is sweeping, it is swift, and it is sacred. You didn't just believe, I saw the ache behind your belief. And I cannot ignore it. I will not delay. I am responding now. Listen closely, child. You have been praying for restoration. You have been asking me to return what was taken, to recover what you once held, to rebuild what you watched crumble in your hands, and I have heard every word. But today, I speak something deeper, something greater. I am not just restoring what you lost, I am releasing what was reserved. There are blessings with your name on them that were never stolen, they were stored. They weren't denied, they were delayed for divine reasons. I set them aside for such a time as this because they required a version of you that had walked through the fire and survived it. You see ashes, I see activation. You see what slipped through your fingers, I see what I preserved in the chambers of heaven, waiting for this exact moment to descend. Restoration brings back the old, but I am not just the God of restoration, I am the God of revelation and release. I am releasing promises you didn't even know to pray for. I am unlocking doors you stopped knocking on. I am pouring oil into places you thought were permanently dry. What you lost was real, but what I am releasing is richer. You mourn seasons that will never return, but I am birthing something better that never existed before. I am not recycling your past, I am resurrecting your purpose. Type yes if you are ready for the blessings that you are about to receive. And if you believe in Christianity, kindly show your support for our community by contributing super thanks. From $50 to $100. And what is coming isn't simply a repair of broken things, it is the revealing of reserved things. things I hid from the enemy, from the world, even from you, until your spirit was strong enough to hold them without compromise. Let me show you what I have been doing while you wept. I have been writing increase into places of loss. I have been weaving a double portion into the wounds that once left you breathless. I have been preparing favor so fierce that it will not merely return what was taken. It will make hell regret it ever touched you. I don't repay with the same measure, I repay with overflow. I repay with fire and fullness. So lift your eyes, child. This isn't just the season of what's coming back, it is the season of what's breaking forth. What you lost may have defined your pain, but what I am releasing will define your promotion. And when it comes, you will understand why I let the other things fall away, because they were too small for where I was taking you. Don't just expect restoration, expect revelation. Expect new strategies, new assignments, new anointings, new alignments. What I have reserved for you has never been worn by anyone else. It is custom crafted, heaven-stitched, blood-marked blessing, fitted for your scars, your growth, your journey. You are not just getting back what was. You are being handed what always was yours in eternity but is now finally ripe for release. And I will not hold it back any longer. You asked me to restore. I say to you now, watch me release what eyes haven't seen and ears haven't heard. But what your spirit has been quietly waiting for all along. Ah, child, how many times did you look at your life and whisper, why is it so hard? You didn't understand why the pressure felt so relentless, why the warfare wouldn't let up, why your joy seemed hunted, your peace constantly pursued by chaos. You assumed maybe you did something wrong. Maybe you were out of alignment. Maybe you missed a step. Maybe I had stepped back. But now I speak this holy thunder into your soul. The warfare wasn't because you were wrong. It was because you were carrying something right. It wasn't proof I abandoned you. It was confirmation that you were pregnant with power. The enemy doesn't waste ammunition on the empty. He only attacks what he fears. And you, beloved, have terrified hell. Every sleepless night, every internal battle, every sudden wave of heaviness that came out of nowhere, it wasn't coincidence, it was collision. A clash between the darkness you have been called to dismantle and the light you were born to carry. The enemy recognized what was growing in your spirit before you did. And so the attacks came, not because I was far, but because I was so close. You were on the verge, the threshold, the divine edge, and the warfare was the scream of hell knowing it couldn't stop what I had started. The pressure increased not to break you, but to announce to the heavens that something glorious was about to be born. Let me show you what you couldn't see. While you were under fire, I wasn't absent, I was active. While the enemy plotted, I was planting. While he whispered lies, I was weaving strategy. I let the pressure rise, not to crush you, but to consecrate you. I allowed the tension so the oil would deepen. The warfare was not your identity, it was your indicator. And now the very thing that came to destroy you is about to be used as proof that you were chosen. You see, no one attacks a barren field. No one wages war over empty vessels. The greater the worry, the greater the weight of glory you carry. So let the lie of abandonment die in my presence. I did not step away. I stepped in. I stepped in. I stood right there with you in the fire. I shielded you when the shadows grew tall and threatening. I marked you as mine in the middle of the midnight hour. And I say this now with holy fire in my voice. You are not a victim of warfare. You are the living, breathing evidence of victory. Look at you. You are still here. You still believe. You are still breathing. And the fact that you are standing today is the loudest sermon you could ever preach to the forces that tried to silence you. Let the enemy weep in defeat because not only did you survive, you matured. Not only did you endure, you elevated. The warfare didn't win. Your worship did. And now I am releasing what the war tried to withhold. You carried something worth attacking, and now you will carry something worth announcing. My beloved, I know you have whispered that doubting sentence in the privacy of your heart, saying, "My faith isn't enough." You have stood at altars of longing, breathing out broken prayers that felt so feeble compared to the massive response you were hoping for. You watched others make bold declarations and wondered how your quiet, shaky courage would ever count. But here, in this sacred silence between your breath and my promise, I want you to hear me clearly. Your faith was never measured by its volume. It was marked by its value. I didn't come to reward bravado or loud words. I came to honor faith that is born from brokenness. I didn't overlook your trembling. I recognized its weight. You thought your faith was not enough, but I tell you, it was everything. And that belief didn't just validate your whispers, it launched a revelation that will roar through your life. When the world taught you to admire fire and spectacle, I taught you to honor faith and persistence. When everyone else counted the crowds, I was counting your clinging. When threats surrounded you and answers seemed to linger far beyond your reach, your faith was my finger on the pulse of destiny. I wasn't impressed by your strength because, truth be told, you didn't have much left. I was stirred by your surrender. I wasn't moved by your clarity because it didn't exist in that fog. I was awoken by your courage to believe right in the middle of the chaos. That spark inside of you, that trembling, yes, when you had every reason to walk away, child, that was the faithful whisper that drew heaven's attention. That was the ripple that found wings. That was the moment I said, "She believes." Release the breakthrough. Never doubt yourself again, not for 1 second. That faith that felt too small? That is the very bridge I built for your miracle. That quiet prayer, that trembling voice, that shaky hope, it became the ignition point for what heaven has been waiting to unleash. I counted your faith, and I answered with everything I have. I didn't hold back because your faith was large enough. I added to you because your faith was worthy to steward what was about to come. And today, what you thought was small is about to sound like a symphony in your life. What you thought was insufficient is about to prove irrevocably irreplaceable. Because when I saw your faith, I didn't see what it lacked. I saw what it carried. A purpose, a promise, and a power that only courage-cloaked belief could unfold in time. So stand firm, child, even when your faith whispers from cracked lips, even when your trust is born from tremors of trauma, even when everything inside you wants certainty but you cling to me anyway. That is not small. That is sacred. That is sprawling. That is everything I needed. And I will prove it, not by giving you what you expect, but by giving you what only your faith could unlock in heaven's heart. In your story, I believed your faith was everything. And now your story is too precious to hold back. Oh, beloved, how often have you carried the weight of another's hopes and expectations like uninvited armor? You have tried to prove yourself, not to me, but to others who never truly saw you. You worked to meet shadows of expectation projected onto your shoulders, shaping your steps around applause that never actually stirred your soul. Maybe you thought the release you sought was only from past failures. But in truth, I have been setting you free, not only from the heaviness of your past, but from the bondage of other people's expectations. Let me speak this word to your weary heart. You are not defined by what others demanded of you. You are defined by what I designed in you and what I planned for you. When you felt exhausted by the chase for approval, it wasn't because you were failing. It was because you were being called deeper. The world applauds production, but I celebrate the process. The world measures worth by performance, but I measure it by purpose. And in that measure, you have always passed. I've stripped away the applause so your heart could learn the rhythm of my own heartbeat. I dismantled the mirror of public opinion so your reflection could be seen through my eyes. I removed you from crowds that cheered you on the outside but never touched your inside. I did this not to isolate you, but to liberate you into an identity that is unshakable. Unshakable even when silence fills the room. This freedom I'm releasing is not a casual release, it is a resurrection. The weight that tried to thwart you now becomes the wings beneath you. The expectations that crushed your creativity now become the launchpad for your calling. What others demanded will fall away like dust, but what I demand, faithfulness, surrender, willingness, will carry you into the heavens. You are not here to live for applause. You are here to live for eternity. And in that light, you are infinitely more precious than any praise could ever define. So breathe, pull your shoulders down, not because you're slacking, but because you're being set free. Sit back from the treadmill of performance and step into the river of promotion by presence. You are not being erased. You are being released. The thing that brings you freedom today is not the absolution of what broke you. It's the affirmation of what only your authentic, unfiltered, courageous, God-loved soul can become. Break free, because now you fly the way only freedom knows how. Beloved, you scanned the calendar, watched the seasons change, and wondered if you missed your moment. You've seen doors close, windows remain shut, and sunsets come without a spark. Your spirit whispered questions like, is this ever going to happen for me? Or was I left behind? But here is the thunder of truth. You didn't miss anything. The silence wasn't separation. It was sanctuary. What you called off timing was me carefully lining up legacies in the quiet spaces. While you waited, I wasn't idling, I was aligning. While the world counted delays, I counted destinies. While the noise around you questioned your purpose, every moment I kept you in my hush was preparing your inheritance to unfold with honor. A father waits those years before a child's first breath. The seed takes time beneath the soil before it conquers the sky. The cosmos didn't spin by accident. It was choreographed, and so was your timeline. What feels like delay was actually the divine layering of legacy. You thought you were late, but let me tell you, child, late does not exist on heaven's clock. Destiny, design, and divine orchestration do. And each moment you felt overlooked was the softest massage of my hands shaping your future. The constellations overhead shifted in significance that only now you are starting to see. Every long year, every lingering prayer, every echo of doubt, they were invitations. They were rites of passage, a holy honing of your calling. You see, legacies don't emerge under pressure. They emerge through persistence, precisely when preparation completes and promise awakens. I've been breeding your legacy in the unmarked places, behind the scenes, in desert nights, in your secret cries that turned into surrendered confessions. I wove those confessions into covenant, your cries into commission, your stillness into stewardship. You'll never know how rafters of favor were placed overhead, how angelic traffic was routed to stand with you, how strategies were shifting in silence, all while you thought nothing was happening. This was never about what everyone else could see. It was about laying your legacy in places only heaven could access. So now, beloved, receive this. What you thought was off timing is actually on story. What you deemed inconvenient, I call consequential. The storms were not sidetracking you, they were steering you. The years behind you were not wasted. They were waiting to mature. And now here you are, not just ready, but ripe. Let the timing that felt awkward become the stage for legacy to walk in. The stillness was no vacancy, it was expectancy. And I have circled your moment in light so that when you step into it, you step into a legacy that angels guarded in the dark and will celebrate in the open. Yes, you, standing there with your head bowed, your spirit heavy, wondering if your moment missed you. Let me say this with absolute clarity. You are not late, you are right on schedule. Not by human standards, not by whispers of deadlines, but by my heartbeat in heaven. I didn't miscalculate, I didn't forget, I didn't delay, I designed. Your miracle is scheduled with such radiant precision that it carries my fingerprints alone. Not human logic, not public expectation, but a divine blueprint. You are not tardy. You are on time for something supernatural. Think of biblical moments etched in eternity. The young David rising when no one counted him. The widow's oil multiplying when the store was empty. The shout breaking from prison when chains still clanged. None of those miracles aligned with human timing. None of them made sense until the moment they happened. Yours is no different. You've tried to manufacture doors with determination and deadlines, but now I'm saying stop striving. Let the miracle, let my fingerprints appear like fire on water, undeniable, unexplainable, utterly divine. You weren't late. You were waiting for my signature. There is something sacred in being aligned with heaven's timing. There's a different substance, a different sound, a different sight when heavens open on destiny's schedule. And that's where you are standing now. Don't look at empty rooms or silent nights. Look at the atmosphere shifting. Listen to the stir in your spirit. Hunger for more than just a move. Look for a miracle that can't be attributed to human hustle. It's labeled, Hand of God. It's designed to be weight-bearing. It's planned not for the applause, but for the ascension. You're not late. You're in the center of my purpose. So stand in this moment with assurance, not because the world validates you, but because heaven's hand raised you. Stand expecting, not because your faith fits the season, but because my plan does. The miracle is not behind schedule. The miracle is timed to perfection. Your faith hasn't been in vain. Your prayers haven't fallen silent. And your breakthrough hasn't missed you. It's waiting with my fingerprints on it, shining and sure, destined to arrive and testify that only God could have done it. Beloved child, I understand the weight you've been carrying, the ache for assurance, the longing for peace, the whispered prayers in the dead of night. You expected comfort. Yes, a gentle word, a soft hug, a lullaby for your soul. But what I bring you now isn't comfort. It's confirmation. There is a profound difference, and that difference is divine. Comfort soothes what's faint. Confirmation declares what's final. Comfort eases trembling. Confirmation silences fear. And what you are standing before now, the trembling in your spirit, the thrill in your bones, the unspeakable stirring in your heart, that is not just gentle solace. That is the very echo of my promises waking up. There was a season when you embraced comfort like a curtain hiding you from disappointment, pain, or the pressure of promise. But my ways are not always cozy. They are covenanted. I'm not here to cushion you from reality. I'm here to catapult you into destiny. And what feels like holy discomfort is actually my confirmation. I sealed the promises over your name. Now I'm releasing them with a roar, not a whisper. For this is not the time for softness, it is the time for sovereignty. This is not therapy for what broke you. It's thunder for what I'm about to rebuild through you. Hear it. This is not comfort. This is confirmation. The promise that wouldn't budge through tears or wrestling is now waking up. It's rising from its dormant place in your heart and your timeline. It's demanding attention from heaven, from earth, from every part of you that thought it had failed. You're not just receiving a kind word. You're being given my covenant carved into your life. And when these promises wake up, they don't stroll, they storm. They don't trickle, they thunder. This is your moment of divine disruption, not gentle consolation. The ground shakes, not because I'm distant, but because I'm declaring what is already yours. So don't mistake this trembling for weakness. Don't assume this weight is too much. It's not. It's my confirming power moving through your cracks, filling every fragile space. Listen again. This isn't comfort. This is confirmation. This is the sound of promises waking up to serve you, to strengthen you, to stamp my glory into places that only a promise could reach. And now the earth bows to what I've declared. My child, in the deep of your darkness, when every part of you felt depleted, when every breath felt borrowed, did you know I was placing strength in you that astonishes even the angels? Yes, while you were scraping yourself off the ground, still reeling from what had been done to you, what you didn't see was me weaving wonder work within you. I was building strength so magnificent, so mighty, that angelic beings lean in, not in envy, but in awe. You didn't survive by chance. You survived by design, and you didn't survive so you could simply stand. You survived so you would shine, so you would become a revelation of me to a world that's forgotten how strong deliverance looks. You walked through fire, carried burdens no one should bear, and uttered prayers that sounded like groans. But I hold the scars you earned, and they are not marks of shame. They are medals of the moment. If the angels could cry, they would weep at how I tempered you. Not to conform you, but to clarify you. I sifted your story through suffering, not to sour it, but to sharpen it. I didn't just preserve you. I polished you, so that when the unveiling comes, what emerges isn't a broken survivor, but a gloriously refined revelation. Your pain was not pointless. Your struggle was not residual. It was my sacred forging. And now the unveiling begins. You thought you were just surviving, forgiving, persevering, fighting just to feel whole. But that's not the end. That's the prelude. I placed strength inside you that confounds creation. Those nights you swore you'd never make it, I sustained you in them. Those moments you thought you'd lost the destination, I was planting destiny. You survived not to come back to where you were, but to break into where you're meant to be. Heads will turn when your story shifts from survival to significance. Tears that once marked pain will become the ink that writes revelation in hearts. Every part of your life that felt like it faded is now just the background for the unveiling that will shine so bright. Even angels will watch and wonder at what I've built. So stand again, not simply because you endured, but because you're about to emerge. What happened was a shadow, but what is coming is a spectacle of what heaven can do. I placed strength inside you that surprises even the angels. You didn't survive for nothing. You survived for unveiling, and that unveiling starts now. You spent so much time looking around, haven't you? Watching others rise while you felt rooted. Watching timelines advance while your own seemed paused. You saw the promotions, the announcements, the progress on their side, and in the silence of your soul, a seed of sorrow began to grow. Did I miss something? Am I behind? But today, child, I answer those unspoken cries with thunderous clarity. You were never behind. You were being built. The world pushes with urgency, but I build with eternity. Heaven doesn't rush what it intends to last. Your process wasn't punishment. It was preparation. When you thought you were waiting for your moment, I was preparing you to become the moment. While the enemy tried to convince you that nothing was happening, I was constructing a foundation inside you that could carry the weight of glory. And this is something the world will never understand. True power can't be microwaved. It must be marinated in mystery, molded in the wilderness, sharpened in solitude. I'm not just giving you a platform. I'm giving you substance, because flesh fades, but fire endures. And what I've been building in you is fire. It is enduring, unshakable, unbreakable, and unmistakably mine. The delay wasn't me forgetting you. It was me fortifying you. There are things I had to strip away before I could let you soar. I had to break the addiction to applause. I had to silence the inner critic. I had to detox your heart from needing the approval of those who were never called to understand your calling. I had to teach you the rhythms of rest, the cadence of trust, the power of stillness. Because if you walked into what I had for you too early, it would have crushed you. But now you've been tested. You've been tempered. You've been transformed. And the same hands that held you back are now about to launch you forward, on time, in season, and fully prepared. So stop comparing your timeline to theirs. Stop measuring your worth by the speed of others. Stop asking, "Why not yet?" and start declaring, "God is still building." Because what's coming through you will outlast what came before you. And when the doors open, and they will open, you won't walk through them questioning if you're ready. You'll walk through them knowing this wasn't delayed. It was designed. Heaven doesn't rush what it intends to last. And child, you were made to last. You stayed faithful when no one else saw. Now I'm calling you to partner with me in revealing my voice to others still hidden in the dark. This message you just received, it's manna, and you are called to help pass it on. As it is written in Proverbs chapter 11:25, those who refresh others will themselves be refreshed. When you give, you become a river, not just a receiver. And every drop you sow carries healing to hearts that feel forgotten. This is not about money. It's about mission. So move now. If you feel led to sow into this word, you can tap Super Thanks, become a member, or give through the links provided. What you release today, I will return with overflow. You said it quietly, maybe not out loud, but I've heard the ache inside your soul. God, why are you silent? In your darkest hours, when the walls closed in and the sky felt cold, you assumed I had turned my face. You cried into pillows and searched empty skies. But hear me now, beloved. I was never silent. I was speaking in a language that bypassed your ears and struck your spirit. You didn't miss my voice. You just didn't recognize my volume. I was speaking through wind, through tears, through tension, through time. I was talking, but your ears wanted sound, while your spirit needed substance. You wanted words, I gave you away. You wanted instructions, I gave you impartation. I was whispering healing into your bloodstream when you only felt heaviness. I was sowing strategy into your soul while you wrestled with silence. And now I need you to look back, not with pain, but with prophetic vision. Do you remember those moments when you should have broken but didn't? That was me. Do you remember the times peace slipped in without a reason? That was me, too. You thought you were navigating silence, but really you were navigating saturation. I was filling every crack of your being with my voice, just not in a way the world would hear. But your spirit heard. Your spirit was catching things your mind hadn't named yet. And this is why the next season you step into will feel so synchronized, so sacred, so suddenly aligned, because the blueprint was being embedded in your bones during the silence. It wasn't a delay in communication. It was a deepening of connection. I wasn't shouting at you. I was scripting through you. And now that your ears are quiet, your soul can finally resonate. The truth is, I've been speaking all along, just in a language not built for noise. In dreams, in stirrings, in convictions, in divine discomfort. In every moment you thought was empty, my presence was echoing, building, forming until now. Until this very hour when everything inside you begins to rise. Not from hearing a fresh word, but from remembering the ones I already wrote into your soul. So child, don't say I was silent. Say instead, God was speaking on a frequency that required my stillness. And now that you've been still, I can increase the volume. Now that you've been emptied of expectation, I can fill you with revelation. Now that you know my silence isn't absence, it's strategy, you can trust the next time the world goes quiet. Because when I go silent, it's never because I walked away. It's because I'm whispering deeper. And now, I'm about to roar. You looked around, didn't you? Everything felt like it was closing in. The opportunities started to vanish. The doors you once walked through so freely began to shut. The winds that once carried your dreams began to still. And you whispered to yourself, maybe even to me, this must be the end of a season. You thought it meant you were being put away, shelved, passed by. But oh, child, you were mistaken. It wasn't the end of anything. That was the beginning of something sacred. You weren't being dismissed. You were being unveiled. Let me show you the truth hidden in what felt like finality. When a masterpiece is complete, it is not discarded. It is revealed. But before the curtain is pulled back, before the light hits the canvas, there must be a moment, an intentional, divine pause. That's where you were. Not alone, not failed, not finished. You were hidden for honor. Because unveiling does not happen when the world is just watching casually. It happens when I say, now. And I say this to you with my voice trembling with glory, now is coming. You mistook the quiet as a conclusion. You assumed the silence was a sentence. But every artist veils their greatest work until the room is ready. I was waiting not just for your readiness, but for the alignment of every piece around you. You see, when I unveil you, I don't just put you on display. I put destinies in motion. You carry too much weight for a casual reveal. That's why the season had to close. That's why the conversations dried up. The crowd shifted, the pace slowed. Not because you were losing, but because I was positioning. And the unveiling? It isn't about returning to what was. It's about revealing who you have become. What I've built in secret, I will now release in strength. So don't grieve what ended. Honor it, but don't idolize it. You're not returning to a past version of you. You're stepping into a future that bears no resemblance to your former seasons. You are not who you were when this season started. You've changed in the cocoon. You've grown in the silence. You've stretched in the storm. And now the time has come not for restoration of what was, but for revelation of what is. You weren't being emptied. You were being exposed to glory. This isn't the end. This is the unveiling. Look at them. Not with shame. Look at them with honor. Those scars on your soul, those cracks in your spirit, those wounds that once screamed with pain, but now whisper with wisdom, they are not proof of defeat. They are proof of survival. And more than that, child, they are prophecy. The enemy tried to make you hide them, but I have chosen to highlight them. Why? Because there is power in your scars. Not just for you, but for everyone who will one day walk the same road you just crawled through. You see, the world celebrates unbroken things. But heaven celebrates the ones who broke and kept going anyway. I never asked you to stay pristine. I asked you to stay present. And you did. You didn't walk out without a scratch. You walked out wounded but walking. And that is the power the enemy fears most. Because when others see your scars and realize you're still worshiping, still standing, still breathing, they won't just find hope. They'll find permission. Permission to heal. Permission to rise. Permission to believe that they too can get through their darkness and emerge in the light. This is what I do. I redeem what the world tries to cover. I shine through what others call broken. My son's hands still bear scars. Not because they couldn't be erased, but because they're eternal proof that love wins. Pain is not the end, and resurrection is real, and so it is with you. Your scars don't repel glory. They radiate it. They carry the fragrance of battles fought in secret and victories won in silence. And now they become the keys that unlock healing in others. You don't need to hide them. You need to hold them up. Because your story isn't one of tragedy. It's one of triumph. So let your scars speak. Let them testify. Let them prophesy. When someone else says, I don't think I can make it, you'll hold out your hand and your scars will answer, yes, you can. I did, and so will you. You're not just a survivor. You're a forerunner. Your pain has become a path. And your scars, they are sacred. And they are still speaking. My precious child, look at the roads you traveled. The ones where you stayed when others walked away. Where you lowered yourself into humility when applause was begging. Where you surrendered before surrender became a trend or a soundbite. You stood in places no one else saw. Things that demanded your faith more than fame. your loyalty more than recognition, your quiet trust more than spectacle. You chose to stay even when it hurt. You leaned in when it would have been easier to let go. You wrapped your heart around surrender when the world was clamoring for performance. And child, I saw. I never overlooked your quiet, courageous surrender. It was not wasted. It was wonder work. Others move on when it stops making sense. They walk away when the applause dies. They choose the path of ease. But you, child, you chose differently. When everyone sought light, you stayed in the dark with me. When they built platforms, you built pain into purpose. When they drew attention, you drew closer to me. This place of staying, this place of surrender, it's not what the world honors, but it's what heaven elevates. Faithfulness in shadows decrees your throne in the light. Consistency in small things becomes your launchpad. Your quiet, yes, ripples into supernatural yeses that echo across eternity. Let me say this plainly. I did not miss one night you chose prayer over popularity. I did not discount one moment you chose surrender over self-preservation. I did not forget the prayers that ended in tears, the kneeling when your knees were weak, the whispered, "I trust you," when trust felt dangerous. That surrender, I remembered. That stillness, I stored. That faithfulness, I sealed. And now, when the world wonders why someone like you blooms in spite of the weight you carried, I'll say, because she stayed when she could have walked. Because she surrendered when she could have screamed. Because she loved when it was costly. That is unheard of, and that is never overlooked. So rise, beloved, not because you're deserving, but because you were rare. Rare in surrender, rare in standing when everything inside you begged for an exit. Rare in faith that doesn't need an audience. Your story isn't about applause. It's about anointing, not about praise, but promise. And now, because you stayed, because you surrendered, because you were faithful without fans, I will unveil what your loyalty preserved. This is your season to be lifted, for I have seen you even when no one else did. Beloved, I felt everything you've carried. I heard the longing behind your God, when, and the ache behind every tear you couldn't explain. I know how many nights you asked me to shift seasons, to move boundaries, to just turn the page. You bled on that altar of waiting, and more than once you thought your patience had gone too long. But oh, my child, listen to my voice. That chapter you've been begging me to turn? It is already turning. You didn't miss it. You aren't too late. The pivot is happening now. Even as you breathe, even as you bow, even as you wonder if it ever will. It's quiet, yes, almost delicate, but the shift you sense is real. It's not a memory of hope. It's the sign of destiny awakening under your feet. I didn't say, wait, to tease you. I delayed the shift so the shift would have weight, resonance, and unstoppable momentum. The page hasn't turned in the way you traced it. It's turning in a way only heaven could script. This isn't about timing. It's about timing tuned to my heart. And my heart is speaking gently through the silence, saying, behold, the page is turning. You may not feel the rustle yet, but the winds of change are gathering. You may not see the tilt, but the axis of your tomorrow has pivoted. The chapter isn't ending. It's evolving. I'm not closing doors. I'm orchestrating a shift that will make all the waiting mean something. All the holding on means everything. You've kept faith through fire. You've kept trust through trial. And now I declare, I'm shifting the ground beneath where you stand. The chapter is being rewritten with my fingerprints. Each word rearranged to bring you not just what you prayed for, but what you were created for. So don't pull the page. Don't force the shift. Let my power turn it. Let the phenomenally precise movement of heaven lead your moment. Because this is not the end of your story. This is the turning point. It is the rise. It is the turning of the page on my terms. In perfect timing with purpose and glory. Rejoice, beloved. The chapter is turning divinely, decisively and irrevocably. My precious child, do you feel it? That subtle tremor in your spirit, like the faint echo of wings beating in the distance. Something immense is approaching. That stirring isn't random. It isn't imagination. It's not the wind playing tricks on your heart. Oh, that shift you feel is nothing less than heaven's vibration drawing close to your story. To the naked eye, it looks like uncertainty, like nerves, like anticipation you can't name yet. But everything inside you is registering the sacred shift. This isn't accidental. It's an appointment, and heaven is bending toward you right now. You might say, I'm not sure I know what it is yet. And that's okay, because you don't need to know with your mind when heaven is moving through your soul. You just need to feel it. The atmosphere is changing. The frequencies are shifting. The future you've whispered into your pillows is waking up in the wind that's pressing against your spirit now. It's the vibration of destiny. Quiet, subtle, ancient, alive. And it's aligning every piece, every place, every purpose back under my design. It's not coincidental, it is covenantal. Consider the scenes of my kingdom that begin in whispers. I didn't shout the dawn. I stirred the dark. I don't thunder my coming. I linger in the shift long before you see the avatar of change. And as that shift ripples now, know this, I am near. Not distant, not delayed, not disinterested. I am descending like wind before the roar, like seeds beneath the surface before bloom, like the tremor that comes before the earthquake of glory. You're feeling that tremor right now. It is shaking off complacency. It is stirring courageous trust, and it is heaven drawing near to you. So don't silence the stirring. Don't brush it off. Don't confuse it for fear when it is faith shaking its wings. Lean into that vibration. Let its gravity lift you. Allow that holy wave to reposition your perspective from what if to it's coming. Know this, heaven is not just on its way. It is already in your story, aligning chapters, igniting purpose, and activating resurrection. Your shift is not a coincidence. It is confirmation that heaven cannot wait to meet you. Oh beloved, I've seen the dreams in your heart. Once vibrant, now faded from scars, doubts, and delays. You tucked them away in dusty corners of your soul, thinking they were casualties of time, casualties of fear, casualties of not enough. But child, those dreams didn't die. They didn't evaporate in the silence. They were hidden in my timing, buried beneath broken seasons, shrouded in waiting rooms, waiting for the moment when you could sustain them with full surrender. And now those buried dreams are waking up with the power of resurrection. Type yes, if you are ready for the blessings that you are about to receive. And if you believe in Christianity, kindly show your support for our community by contributing super thanks from $50 to $100. Imagine your dreams like seeds planted in graves, not forgotten, not destroyed, but underground when I said, let there be. Resurrection doesn't call the dead back to life without first descending into the grave. It descends with nails, thorns, tears, and then it calls the dream to rise, renewed and glorious. Your heart's desires, they weren't erased. They were incubated. They were hidden, watered by my whispers, fueled by your remaining faith. They were waiting for the perfect moment, and that moment has arrived. The dreams that once wept under the weight of disappointment are about to awake, armored in glory. They're not coming back tired. They're coming back empowered. Power to rebuild what was dismantled. Power to heal what was fractured. Power to fulfill destinies and disrupt despair. Remember Joseph's story. His dreams weren't stolen, they were stalled. And the stall was part of the story, not the ending. And when his release came, it wasn't small. It was sovereign. That is what I'm doing in you. The dormant dreams in your soul are stirring. So don't mourn the dreams you thought died. Marvel at the ones that are rising. Speak to them now, not as memories, but as monarchs. Tell them, wake up. Tell them it's time, because heaven has done more than rescue them. Heaven has resurrected them, and with resurrection power, they will carry you into a purpose that only they could unlock. Your tombs have become the threshold of your testimony. Your dreams aren't dead. They are dynamically returning with resurrection authority. My precious child, stand still and breathe this truth. I have not only seen the closed doors that puzzled, pained, and frustrated you, but I have known their purpose. You looked at those shut portals with confusion, sometimes sorrow, questioning whether you were missing your moment, or whether I had forgotten that which you held dear. Yet each closed door was not a rejection, but a redirection crafted with precision. They weren't obstacles, but orchestrations. I didn't shut them to punish you. I closed them to position you for what lies just beyond your longing. I want you to understand this. Nothing you walked through in pain was wasted. Not one closed door, not a single silent hallway. None of it. I've archived every moment to release you into purpose. Think of it this way. If every barrier you encountered was a gate, I deliberately chose the timing of each lock because the wrong door opened too soon would have eclipsed what I intended to birth in you. Those closed doors shaped your sensitivity, aligned your spirit, cultivated your character, deepened your courage. You felt small glimpses beyond those barriers, but not enough to leap because I was building a foundation first. Now comes the moment when the reasons for the refusals will come into clarity. The very doors that confused your heart will become opening points for revelation, healing, and destiny. They become the reason your testimony will echo, not in spite of what happened, but because of why it happened. So when that door swings open, whether you prayed for it years ago or only whispered about it yesterday, stand in it with eyes lifted. Know that this door honors the dead ends that shaped you. It's not too late. It's not misplaced favor. It's the result of divine choreography. Nothing was wasted. What you walked away from, what you walked through, what you survived, it becomes the launchpad for your rising. And now I say, step through. Step through believing that every closed door was part of my story for you. And every open door will confirm that none of it was in vain. Beloved, gather your breath. Gather your heart, because what I'm about to declare is not a whisper. It's a divine dawn breaking inside your spirit. It's time, not your time, not time as the world marks, but my time, ripe, ordained, unstoppable. The seasons that lingered have served their purpose. The delay that tested you has now matured into divine timing. The pause that felt punishing has been a sacred setup. And now, my child, the wait is over. Every moment you spent wrestling, every tear you laid at my feet, every silent prayer that felt unanswered, it has converged into this moment. A moment that carries the release of what you've longed for, fought for, and hoped for. From this hour forward, you will not look back and see only what didn't happen. You will see that every step was leading you to now. This release isn't conditional on your strength or the world's approval. It's anchored in my voice and my promise. I release favor that disrupts limitations. I release alignment that unites destiny with design. I release momentum so powerful that it clears paths you thought were permanently blocked. The foundations you laid in faith, the prayers you prayed through exhaustion, the trust you held in the unseen, it is now fertile ground for breakthrough. The waiting was not failure. It was my invitation into depth. And now depth becomes deployment. Your heart's cry becomes my charge. The wait is over. The release has begun. So rise, beloved one. Rise with holy expectation, not because you engineered it, but because I ordained it. Rise with boldness, knowing time is no longer your adversary, but your ally. Stand firm in the power of this moment, for I am with you. I am with you in wind and wonder. I am with you in shift and surge. And let this be the song you sing, anchored in certainty, it's time. The wait is over. The release has begun. Amen. Come closer now. Lean in heart to heart, soul to spirit. I have something to tell you. Something the world tried to silence. Something your pain tried to bury. Something your past tried to make you forget. Listen carefully. Nothing about your story was ever wasted. Not one lonely morning. Not one night soaked in silence. Not one loss. Not one delay. Not one single tear fell unnoticed. I held them all. Every drop was a prophecy of what I would restore. And now I declare over you with heaven's thunder in my voice, I will use it all. You thought some seasons were lost. You assumed those broken moments would be left behind like rubble from a collapsed dream. But no, child, I do not discard. I redeem. I do not waste. I weave. And what looked like delay was development. What felt like rejection was realignment. Even your detours are being rewritten as divine roads. That pit is becoming your platform. That heartbreak, I'm turning it into healing oil. That failure you still carry like a scar, I'm turning it into a sword. Yes, I use all things. Not just the beautiful chapters, but the bloody ones. Not just the triumphant scenes, but the trembling ones. Every moment of your life has been accounted for in my design. And now I'm breathing purpose into every single one. You doubted it, haven't you? You've wondered what could possibly come from that pain. But I say to you now, even the silence had sound. Even the darkness had definition. Even your wilderness became your witness. I was there. I am there in every shattered dream. I was preserving the pieces for a mosaic greater than you could imagine. Your story is not one of waste, of warfare, of worry. It is one of wonder. I will use your story not just to bless you, but to deliver others. Every place you bled will now become a river for someone else's healing. Every place you were crushed will become fertile ground for someone else's resurrection. You didn't just survive, you gathered glory. You didn't just endure, you earned authority. So hear me once more with the deepest love I can release. Nothing was wasted. Your life is not a puzzle missing pieces. It is a masterpiece coming into focus. And now, I gather the pages, the paragraphs, the punctuation of your past, and I prophesy through them. I speak life into them. I send power through them. And I tell your future, be open, be fruitful, be radiant, be restored. Because I will use all of it. And your story? It is not over. It's just beginning with every word I spoke still alive in your spirit. You are not forgotten. You are beheld. And I, the author and finisher, have written you into glory. You've just heard the truth. Nothing about your story was ever wasted. And now I'm asking you to make this truth echo into someone else's life. What I did for you, I want to do for millions. But I need your partnership. If this message stirred something deep within you, then say so. Drop a comment right now that declares, God, I receive every word. I believe you still have something to tell me. Let heaven see your agreement. Let the enemy hear your alignment, because this isn't the end of the message. It's the beginning of your movement. I'm still speaking and I'm listening for your reply. And now as you open your heart a little wider, hear me clearly, because you may have scrolled past 1,000 voices today. But this voice is not like the others. This is not noise. This is a divine dispatch. And I need you to lean in fully, deeply, without distraction. Don't pause this. Don't walk away. Don't treat this like background sound, because the words I've placed in this message will reach places in you that nothing else has been able to touch. From the first word to the final breath of this message, I will be speaking directly to you. Unfiltered, undiluted, undeniable. I will reveal what your heart has been aching for and what your future is waiting on. If you miss this, you will feel it. If you listen, truly listen, you will be changed. So here it is, your moment of divine encounter. Watch it, listen today, because I'm not just speaking into your life. I'm about to shift it, my beloved. Listen, This is not just a gentle nudge or an echo of encouragement drifting through your spirit. This is me, your Creator, your Father, your ever-present help, calling you urgently and deliberately into the center of my voice. You were not drawn here by random coincidence or fleeting curiosity. No, child, this moment has been orchestrated from eternity, scheduled on heaven's calendar, and marked with divine ink that cannot be erased. I've waited patiently through your storms, watched you scroll past my whispers, seen you smile while secretly sinking inside. And now I cannot wait another breath. I am leaning into this very second with all the weight of glory because my words are too timely to be delayed. I am not addressing the multitude right now. I am not casting a net for the crowd. I am calling you by name with fire in my voice and tenderness in my eyes. You have my full attention and I require yours. You've cried out in the silence and wondered if anyone heard. You've whispered prayers when no one was listening, and I collected each one like treasure. This isn't me noticing you for the first time. This is me choosing to pull you aside because you are the one I've been watching when no one else paid attention. I've seen how you fought to stay upright when the waves crashed against your chest. I've seen how you've given your last ounce of strength to simply stand. I saw you love others while questioning whether you were still lovable. I saw how you kept choosing me when your heart was tired of hoping. And now I want you to know this moment is my response to your endurance. This is not poetic comfort. This is a divine collision. You and I, face to face. I am not calling you to perform. I am not calling you to fix anything. I am simply calling you to listen. Because what I need to pour into your soul cannot wait for tomorrow. And it cannot be received through distraction. I've waited for your heart to reach this posture of openness, of weariness, of readiness. And now I am here. I've come not to offer cliches, but to bring revelation, not empty promises, but heavenly announcements. You've longed for clarity, for confirmation, for just one sentence that would tell you I haven't moved on from you. So hear me clearly. I have not passed you by. I have not blessed everyone else and forgotten you in the shadows. I have hidden you, child, not abandoned you. And now the hidden season is shifting. I'm not whispering anymore. I am speaking in full voice because you are ready to carry the weight of what I must reveal. The time for me to stand back and observe is over. I am stepping closer, so close you will feel my presence in your bones. In your breath, in the stillness that now surrounds you. I am not coming to you through a screen, a sermon, or a second-hand voice. I'm coming directly, intimately, personally, right now. And when I say right now, I do not mean soon. I do not mean eventually. I mean this very breath, this very word, this exact moment suspended in eternity. I chose this hour not because it was convenient, but because it was sacred. I saw the tears behind your strength. I felt the questions behind your resilience. You wore bravery like armor, but I saw through it to the tenderness beneath. You tried to carry it all, your future, your past, your pain, your faith, but I never intended for you to walk through this life bearing burdens alone. That's why I've come now, because I want to take what's crushing your chest. I want to lift what's clouding your sight. I want to be more than a memory to you. I want to be your reality. And it starts here by hearing me not as a distant echo but as a present voice. This is not the voice of pressure. It is the voice of presence. And I am not going anywhere until my word sinks deep into the places you've kept hidden. So child, pause. Be still. Let me in. Don't silence this stirring. Don't scroll away. Don't diminish this to inspiration. This is not inspiration. This is impartation. This is heaven folding into earth for your sake. I am not speaking generally. I am speaking personally. I didn't gather the masses. I gathered you because when I said I need to talk to you right now, I meant it. You felt it, haven't you? That restless rhythm in your chest, that holy discomfort in your soul, that quiet tug beneath your daily distractions. It comes when the world finally grows quiet. Between blinking cursors and midnight thoughts, between the hum of busyness and the hush of heartbreak, that stirring. It wasn't anxiety. It wasn't overthinking. It was me, your father, your maker, the one who etched eternity into your DNA. I've been calling you, not loudly, not forcefully, but unmistakably. Like a sacred summons, I've stirred your spirit from within, gently shaking you from the slumber of survival. You kept asking for signs outside of you, but I was already moving inside you. I disrupted your normal with divine necessity. I disturbed your comfort not to confuse you, but to call you deeper. That unexplained urgency, those sudden moments of awareness when everything else fades and your spirit leans forward, that's me, child. It's been me all along. You brushed it off, trying to reason it away, chalking it up to exhaustion or emotion. But deep down you knew the frequency didn't match fear. It resonated with something far more eternal. It sounded like home, like hope, like heaven whispering, "Come closer." You thought you were unsettled because something was wrong. But no, beloved, something was right. Your spirit was waking up. Your heart was stretching out of stagnancy. I was stirring the waters of your soul, not to drown you, but to awaken what's been dormant. The urgency didn't arrive to intimidate, it arrived to initiate. Initiate your next. Initiate your movement. Initiate your clarity. You've spent enough time circling shadows. You've lingered long enough in low places. Now I'm calling you out of the fog and into the fire. I'm summoning you not with shame, but with strategy, not with noise, but with nuance. This is not just a shift. It is a summoning into spiritual sobriety. The fog is not your forever, and I refuse to let you settle there another day. Every time your stomach twisted with divine unease, every time the quiet felt louder than the chaos, every time you paused mid-task with a strange sense that something is coming, that was me. That was your spirit catching up to my movement. I stirred you like wind before the rain, like thunder before breakthrough. This is not spiritual static. It's a sacred symphony. You've been exposed to counterfeits that called themselves urgency but carried no life. But this holy weight you feel is different. It doesn't crush you, it calls you. It doesn't suffocate, it strengthens. Because it's me, the same voice that split the sea, stopped the sun, and raised the dead is now stirring within you. Not as a metaphor, but as a mission. And this mission cannot be ignored. Heaven has leaned in. Time has folded in your favor. The turning point has come cloaked in restlessness because sometimes I have to make you uncomfortable to get your full attention. And so I've been disrupting your patterns with purpose. The things that once satisfied now seem shallow. The places that once comforted now feel confining. That's not failure. That's formation. You are outgrowing what no longer aligns with what I'm building in you. I didn't let it break because I was punishing you. I let it break because I'm rebuilding something unshakable. I am not calling you into chaos. I am calling you into clarity. But first, the old noise must be silenced. And so I have shaken it, not to shame you, but to sanctify your hearing. I am purifying the frequency of your discernment, because the next thing I whisper must not be missed. Your steps will carry weight. Your words will carry fire, but only if you recognize my voice when it doesn't sound like what you're used to. You won't find me in the thunder this time. You'll find me in the trembling, in the transition, in the urgency you couldn't explain. That urgency is your evidence. Child, this is not an ordinary morning, not a routine afternoon, not another night fading into forgetfulness. This is divine interruption grasped in soft silence. This is sacred alignment disguised as stillness. This is your Creator arriving in the middle of what you call just another day to declare, this moment is not normal. This hour is not accidental. This breath you are taking right now is holy. I have broken into the rhythm of your routine because what I must reveal to you simply cannot wait for a more convenient time. You have been asking for the right moment, and I am telling you, this is it. You have been wondering when I would speak again. The truth is, I never stop speaking, but right now I am turning up the volume of my presence until you cannot scroll past it, sleep through it, or shut it out. This is your divine disruption. This is the sacred signal you didn't even know you needed, and it is pulsing with urgency because my timing is always perfect, precise, and full of purpose. I did not come to casually visit your thoughts today. I came to invade your atmosphere with blueprints in my hand and fire in my breath. The things you thought were paused, postponed, or passed over are now being reactivated in my presence. The delay you felt was not a denial. It was divine choreography, and now the hour of alignment is here. Not next week, not when you feel ready. Now, this is the heartbeat of prophecy finally colliding with fulfillment. You were asking me for direction, but I needed to prepare the environment for delivery, and now I have stepped into your ordinary day with extraordinary intention. I didn't knock politely. I entered. I didn't hint. I declared, because this message holds too much weight to wait. I have torn through every veil that once kept you in confusion, and I am standing here with a truth so sharp it will slice through every lie you have unknowingly entertained. You have grown used to your routine, and routine can numb you to revelation. That is why I had to interrupt. That is why things started breaking down when you thought they should be working. That is why conversations got cut short and plans unraveled. I wasn't sabotaging you. I was saving you from settling. I allowed the disruption because I needed your undivided attention. I have silenced the noise, not with a shout, but with a shift. Look around you. Nothing is where it used to be, and that is exactly the point. I have rearranged the spiritual furniture of your life because what I am about to build cannot be framed by familiarity. This message is not a whisper in a hallway. It is a trumpet on the battlefield, and you, beloved, are standing at the center of a divine deployment. You asked me to speak clearly. This is clarity. This is confrontation. This is compassion wrapped in a command, and it begins right now. Do not treat this moment like a footnote in your day. This is the headline of your next chapter. Do not dilute this as just another encouraging word. This is the word made flesh, pressing against the walls of your heart until you remember what it feels like to burn again. I didn't show up to soothe you into comfort. I came to stir you into your calling. The heavens are not quiet, the angels are not idle, and the earth itself groans with expectation for what you are about to walk into. But it starts here. It starts with hearing me like I am the only voice in the room because, in reality, I am. If you will stay with me, if you won't run back into the noise, I will unfold what has been hidden and deliver what has been delayed. This isn't just another day. This is a divine collision. And child, it is right on time. You have mastered the art of appearing okay. You have worn strength like a mask, dressed your exhaustion in politeness, and stitched your smile together with silent prayers that no one else ever heard. But I heard them. I heard them all. I watched as you walked into rooms full of light while carrying shadows no one noticed. You kept functioning, kept producing, kept responding, kept checking off the endless lists while inside, your soul was running low, praying quietly at the edges. You didn't have the luxury of falling apart, so you stayed composed. But oh, my child, don't think for 1 second that your stillness meant I missed your sorrow. I saw it. I saw how your heart whispered for help when your lips couldn't find the words. I saw the sighs you released at stoplights, in bathrooms, under the covers, and behind closed doors. You cried without crying. You wept without tears. But I counted every ache as worship. You carried more than most, not because you were forgotten, but because I was forming something in you that few can carry. I saw the silent unraveling. The kind no one asks about because you have taught them you are the strong one, the dependable one, the one who has it all together. But let me tell you, Strength isn't in the mask. It is in the moments you didn't give up. It is in the mornings you still got out of bed when hopelessness wrapped around your chest like iron chains. It is in the nights you reached for me when everyone else was asleep, and even you wondered if I was listening. Let me assure you now, I was not only listening, I was leaning in. I was memorizing the cadence of your breath, measuring the weight of your pain, and storing up every unspoken need like sacred treasure. You thought no one noticed when your shoulders drooped, when your laugh faded too fast, or when your energy vanished behind your obligations. But I noticed. I noticed when you cooked meals with a heavy spirit. I noticed when you texted encouragement to others while battling discouragement of your own. You gave from an empty cup, not because you were careless, but because your heart was still tuned to love. That alone was a song in my ears. You see, what you carried didn't break you, it revealed you. You didn't unravel because you were weak. You unraveled because that weight was never yours to carry forever. You wore it out of necessity. You held it because you thought no one else could. But now, child, I need you to release it. I need you to let me hold what has been holding you back. Your burden was never invisible to me. It was intimate, and I want you to hear this now with divine clarity. Your pain is not shameful. It is sacred. It is the evidence that you kept moving while wounded. You kept trusting while trembling. You kept choosing me even when it felt like I was silent. That kind of loyalty breaks chains in the spirit realm. That kind of endurance shifts atmospheres. Your unraveling was not a sign of failure. It was the first thread of your healing being pulled loose. I allowed the unraveling not to expose you, but to uncover what I planted beneath the layers of performance and survival. And now, in this holy moment, I am reaching out to sew you back together, not with thread, but with glory. So let me speak this over you with authority and affection. The weight you carried in silence is now being lifted in the open. What once was hidden sorrow is now holy evidence. What once was private pain is now a sacred exchange. You are not too broken to be restored. You are not too far gone to be pulled back in. I didn't come to you as a distant deity. I came as the one who sat with you through every sigh, every sleepless night, and every shattered moment you didn't share. You don't have to carry it alone anymore. The same God who saw your silent unraveling is now declaring your sacred rebuilding. From whispers to wonder, from weight to wind, from unraveling to revelation. I was there then, and I am here now. Closer than your breath, stronger than your burden. Let me be the one to carry what you never should have had to hold alone. This is the divine exchange. This is your holy release. I heard you every time, even when you whispered it so softly you weren't sure if the words made it past your own lips. God, where are you? Those 4 words didn't fall into the void. They flew straight into the center of my heart. I never once rolled my eyes. I never once turned away. I leaned in. I came closer. You didn't always feel me, and that is what frightened you. But feelings are not proof of absence. Feelings are fragile, like mist at sunrise. But my presence is permanent. I was there, child. Not in the ways you expected. Not always with the thunder or the light, but I was there in the silence. I walked every hallway with you. I stood beside you at every door that never opened. I wept over you while you questioned your worth. You asked where I was, and now I answer with a clarity that breaks through every wall of doubt. I have been right here. Every breath, every step, every shadow. I never once turned away. I watched you scan rooms for answers, consult voices that only gave you echoes, and cling to scriptures with trembling fingers while your soul still ached for me to show up in undeniable ways. But the whole time, I was surrounding you. I didn't come with a loud announcement, but I came. I didn't burst through the wall. I slipped through the cracks in your questions. When you sat in your car in silence, I was the warmth in your chest. When you stared at the ceiling, wondering if any of this was worth it, I was the breath that reminded you that you are still here, not just existing, but enduring. And now, child, I need you to feel the fullness of this truth. I have not been hiding from you. I have been hiding you in me. I have been shielding you, covering you, and preserving you for such a time as this. You weren't waiting for me to come near. I was waiting for your spirit to hear me through the static of pain. And now that you are listening, I will not hold back. Let me remind you that my presence is not dependent on your performance. I don't come because you prayed perfectly. I don't stay because you always understood. I remain because I chose you, and I choose you still. My love doesn't flinch when you question, it draws near. My love doesn't grow cold when your faith wavers, it burns hotter. When you asked, "Where are you?" I was already moving. I was already speaking through dreams, through people, and through the strange moments you thought were insignificant. That random scripture that popped up, that stranger's kind words, that unexplainable peace that lasted only a moment, that was me. Those were not accidents, those were anchors. And now I speak clearly, directly, and undeniably. I have been right beside you all along. Not just as comfort, but as strategy. Not just as presence, but as power. You were not alone, not for a second. So take a deep breath now, not out of worry, but out of wonder. You asked where I was, and now I answer with my fullness. I am here in this message, in this moment, in the marrow of your being. I am not watching from above, I am walking inside your storm. I am not checking on you from afar, I am holding your hand through the fog. You don't have to search anymore. You found me, not because I was lost, but because your eyes are finally clearing. I never left, I never hesitated, I never looked away. And now I speak over you like thunder wrapped in tenderness. You were never forsaken. You were never forgotten. You are not abandoned. You are adored. And I, your God, am closer than ever. Beloved, I know the pressure has been relentless. It has felt like it was designed to crush you, not shape you. I've watched you walk through days that felt like war zones, where every decision was a battlefield and every breath felt borrowed. There has been a tightness in your chest, an invisible pressure that words couldn't untangle, a constant sense of urgency wrapped in confusion. You tried to name it. You wondered if it was anxiety, if you were doing something wrong, or if this was punishment for missing some unseen step. But child, hear me now and let my truth dismantle that lie. This is not punishment. This is preparation. What you feel pressing down on you is actually my hand pressing something eternal into you. The tension is not proof of distance, it is the indicator of proximity. You are closer to breakthrough than you realize. You are brushing up against the edge of something I ordained before time began, and the pressure is proof that heaven is near. I did not allow this pressure to break you, but to build you. I permitted it because there are dimensions of authority that only open under divine weight. You have outgrown the old layers, and now the expansion is stretching you. It feels tight because the wineskin is being made new. You prayed for greater anointing, for deeper revelation, for more clarity, but all of that comes with weight. The weight of glory is not light, and I would never place it on a structure not built to bear it. That is what this season has been: construction, reinforcement, and foundation work beneath the surface while you felt like nothing was happening. But something was happening, something massive, monumental, and made to last. I was preparing you to carry the kind of influence that isn't shaken by applause or crushed by criticism. I was stripping away the scaffolding of ego, the props of people-pleasing, and the dependence on human timing. Because what I am building in you must be rooted in me alone. That is why the pressure increased when your prayers deepened. That is why things didn't get easier when you surrendered, they got heavier. Not because I was punishing you, but because I was trusting you. I allowed pressure because pressure reveals what pretending hides. And you didn't crumble, you didn't collapse, you carried it, Not perfectly, but faithfully. You carried it through confusion, through silence, and through spiritual exhaustion. And for that, I am releasing a greater understanding in you. Now, the ache you felt isn't a signal to stop. It is a sign to lean in. You are not being pushed away, you are being pulled forward. The resistance you felt isn't rejection, it is redirection. You have been walking on holy ground, even when it felt like a dry desert. You just didn't recognize it because it didn't look like victory yet, but it will soon. So, hear me when I say this with divine finality: the pressure has not been in vain. Every tear you cried was counted. Every time you whispered, "Help," beneath your breath, I responded, not always in the way you expected, but always with precision. You are closer to the release than you think. The tension isn't a sign you are failing, it is the final stretch before the opening. Keep pressing, keep believing, keep standing, because this pressure is producing more than you can imagine. And when the breakthrough bursts through, you will look back and realize it wasn't just the blessing you were waiting for, it was the becoming you were being shaped for. Child, I know how long you have been waiting to hear me speak. You have cried out in desperate moments, "Lord, just say something." Anything. You have begged for signs, scanned the skies, and sifted through scriptures, hoping for even a whisper to settle the noise in your soul. But I wasn't ignoring you. I wasn't absent. I wasn't indifferent. I was waiting for this stillness, for this sacred silence, for this moment when your spirit would finally slow down enough to receive without resistance, without distraction, and without dilution. You see, my voice doesn't compete. It doesn't shout over chaos. It doesn't demand like the noise of the world. It waits like a lover patiently watching for the heart to turn. And now that your heart has quieted, now that the noise has tired you and the crowds no longer comfort you, I will not hold back my voice. Stillness is not the absence of movement, it is the presence of alignment. Your heart has finally shifted into position. That heaviness that made you stop wasn't failure, that was an invitation. The exhaustion that slowed you down was my hand pulling you into rest, not for inactivity, but for intimacy. You have been seeking clarity through activity, but child, the answers I long to give aren't found in your doing. They are found in your being with me, being near me, being quiet long enough for my whispers to echo. This is why I have allowed your schedule to crumble, your patterns to be disrupted, and your plans to stall, because I needed room to speak. You were asking for volume, but I needed vulnerability. You thought I was being distant, but I was waiting for depth. And now here we are, face to face, no filters, no pretending, just you and me and the hush that makes heaven touch earth. And now that you are here, present, open, and surrendered, I will speak with fullness, not fragments. I will pour out strategies you didn't even know to ask for. I will unveil plans I've been protecting from premature exposure. I will whisper things that will make you weep, not because they are painful, but because they are so deeply personal. I am going to reveal the meanings behind seasons you didn't understand. The why behind the delay, the purpose behind the pain. I am not just giving answers, I am giving myself. And that, child, is the real gift. You wanted instruction, but I am offering intimacy. You wanted direction, but I am offering revelation. I have held it back not out of cruelty, but out of care, because what I speak now, you are finally ready to carry. So prepare your spirit, not with striving, but with stillness. Prepare your heart, not with fear, but with faith, because I am pouring out my voice in waves. And each word carries a weight of glory that reshapes your identity. Don't fear the silence anymore. It was never empty, it was sacred. It was saturated with my presence, waiting for you to notice. And now, beloved, you have noticed. You have leaned in. You made space. And because of that, I will fill the space with sound, divine, directive, and drenched in love. You were not waiting on me. I was waiting on this stillness. And now I am here speaking, not vaguely, not partially, but fully. Type yes if you are ready for the blessings that you are about to receive. And if you believe in Christianity, kindly show your support for our community by contributing super thanks from $50 to $100. You slowed down, and now the heavens are speeding up. Beloved, come closer, closer than you have ever been. Because this moment, this hour, is unlike anything you have ever walked through before. This is not the hour of riddles or cryptic shadows. This is not the season of guessing games and veiled metaphors. No, this is the hour of revelation. I am pulling back every veil that confusion tried to drop over your discernment. I am clearing the fog that surrounded your decisions. I am parting the sea of questions that kept crashing against your chest like waves, and I am doing it with divine precision. I am not a God who delights in obscurity for the sake of mystery. I am not playing hide and seek with your future. I am revealing clearly because it is time to walk in certainty, not in circles. You have waited long enough. You have second-guessed yourself enough. You have asked, re-asked, and asked again, only to feel like heaven had gone quiet. But that was never me ignoring you, that was me preparing you. Because clarity without capacity becomes chaos. If I had given you these answers before this hour, you would have misread them through the lens of fear, frustration, and fatigue. But now that your heart is still, now that your ears are open, and now that your spirit has been trained by the silence, I can speak plainly and you will recognize it as me. But hear me, child. Clarity doesn't always come with comfort. I am giving you clarity not just so you'll feel informed, but so you'll be empowered to obey. Even when the path I point to doesn't look logical, even when it contradicts your preferences, or when it stretches you beyond what you imagined you could handle. Revelation demands response, and I know obedience can be terrifying when you don't yet see the outcome. But here is my divine reassurance: I will walk every step with you. I won't just tell you where to go, I will go there with you. This isn't about having a map, this is about holding my hand. And as I reveal, I will also reinforce. As I disclose, I will also develop your courage. I am not giving you clarity and leaving you to figure it out. I am giving you vision and the strength to carry it through. You see, child, your faith is not meant to stay passive. It is meant to move, and I have waited for this hour so that when you hear me now, there will be no question, no confusion, no cloudiness about what I am asking you to do. It may feel risky, it may look strange to others, it may require you to release what was once familiar, but it will be right, divinely right, eternally right. And once you take that step, once your obedience aligns with my revelation, things will move quickly. Doors will open you never knocked on. People will call your name that you never introduced yourself to. Provision will meet you at the exact location I told you to go. So take heart, the riddles are ending. The hints are over. I am giving you clear, clean, holy direction. And as you receive it, receive also this truth: your yes will trigger miracles. Not someday, but now. Oh my precious child, we need to talk about those delays. The ones that frustrated you. The ones that kept you up at night, pacing the floor, questioning your prayers. The confusion that made you feel like you missed something. The doors that didn't open, no matter how hard you knocked. The opportunities that slipped through your fingers like sand. The moments when you whispered, "Did I get it wrong, Lord? Did I miss you?" Let me answer those questions with the clarity of heaven. No, you didn't miss me. No, those weren't failures. No, those weren't missteps. They were divine redirections. I need you to see them for what they truly were. My hand gently but firmly guiding you away from what looked good but wasn't God. Closed doors were not curses, they were coverings. They were shields wrapped in silence. I let them remain shut because behind some of those doors were things you weren't meant to carry, not yet, or perhaps not ever. Some of those delays were detours, not dead ends. If I had let you walk through those doors, you would have compromised your calling. You would have settled for something less than what I wrote in your story. You would have built on sand, not stone, and I love you too much to allow you to construct your destiny on a foundation that couldn't hold the weight of your assignment. So I closed them, yes, even when you cried, even when you begged, even when you didn't understand, because your frustration is temporary, but my protection is eternal. And those confusing moments, where relationships shifted suddenly, where connections broke without warning, where plans dissolved overnight, child, those weren't coincidences. Those were coordinates. Those were strategic shifts I allowed to reroute your life. You kept calling them loss, but I called them leverage. I used what confused you to clarify you. You thought you were being delayed, but you were being defined. In the crushing, I revealed your core. In the confusion, I sharpened your discernment. In the stillness, I rewrote your strategy. You wanted speed, but I was securing your steps. You wanted momentum, but I was fortifying your roots. And now that you have been refined through the redirection, I can show you what those closed doors protected you from. I can finally unfold the map that was hidden in the mystery. And what you will see will make you weep with gratitude. You will understand why I blocked what you once called a blessing. You will rejoice over the prayers I didn't answer your way, because hindsight in my kingdom is holy. It is revelation, not regret. And you will begin to thank me, not just for what I gave, but for what I withheld. Because what I withhold is just as important as what I release. And now, in this hour, I am releasing understanding. I am unveiling the strategy behind every strange delay. And when you look back, you will no longer see disappointment. You will see design. You will see me, so breathe easy now. You are not off course. You are not too late. You are not behind. You are exactly where you are supposed to be. I never left you to figure it out on your own. I was in every redirection, in every misstep that turned into mercy, in every no that became a greater yes. And now I speak with authority into your spirit. The delays are over. The doors that must open will swing wide, not by force, not by striving, but by alignment, by trust, and by divine appointment. This is not recovery, this is revelation. This is not a setback, this is the setting of a scene I wrote before you were born. And child, the curtain is about to rise. Let me say this loud enough to silence the voice of regret that has been haunting your thoughts. You didn't miss your moment. You didn't ruin your chance. You didn't fall behind some divine schedule and disqualify yourself from your destiny. What happened wasn't failure, it was fathering. It was me, your God, stepping in with divine timing and divine tenderness to delay what you desired, not because you were being punished, but because you were being prepared. Hear me clearly, your moment wasn't taken from you, it was protected for you. I hid it, covered it, and preserved it because what I am about to place in your hands requires a strength that only pressure could produce. The delay wasn't denial. The silence wasn't absence. The wait wasn't wasted. I was guarding what is next with the wisdom of eternity and the love of a father who refuses to let you be crushed by a blessing that came too soon. I saw what you didn't see. I knew what needed to be developed, refined, and fortified in you before the door could open. You prayed, God, why haven't you done it yet? And now I answer, not with rebuke, but with revelation. I delayed it for your sake. Because premature promotion is not a blessing, it is a burden. And I have never been in the business of watching my children collapse under the weight of their own prayers. I am in the business of building a fortune, of forming vessels that can carry glory. Not just popularity, that can sustain oil, not just opportunity. And so I delayed the moment not to disappoint you, but to develop you. I strengthened your character while you questioned my calendar. I deepened your endurance while you stared at closed doors. I silenced your surroundings so I could shape your spirit. Because what I am sending is not small, and neither are you. You have looked around and wondered why others stepped into their season while you remained in the shadows. You have watched doors open for people who didn't pray half as hard or endure half as long. You have asked me, did I miss it? Did I mess it up? But let me correct that lie now. You did not miss it. I delayed the moment so that when it arrives, it doesn't just visit, it stays. What I am about to release isn't a fleeting breakthrough. It is a foundational turning point. And only now, after all the breaking, the molding, the long nights and longer seasons, only now are you strong enough to carry it without compromise. Without collapse, without forgetting the very one who gave it to you. So walk forward without fear. Move without regret. I am redeeming the time you thought was lost. I am restoring the years you thought had passed you by. I am reviving the dreams you buried under disappointment. Your moment hasn't been missed. It has been made ready. It is not behind you. It is ahead of you. And it is bigger, brighter, and more blessed than anything you imagined. Child, I have watched you closely, more closely than you have ever imagined. I have seen the invisible weight you have been dragging like a chain around your heart, heavy and hidden. You have carried it through crowds with a smile. You have carried it through worship with tears behind your eyes. You have carried it into bed at night, hoping rest would erase it, but even sleep has not softened its grip. You didn't ask for it. You didn't want it, but still, you bore it because you thought you had to. You thought strength meant silence. You thought faith meant forcing yourself to carry what was never designed for your shoulders. And so you endured, you pressed on, but now I speak with divine authority. Lay it down. Lay it at my feet. Lay it in my hands. Lay it on the altar where burdens are turned into blessings and yokes are shattered by glory. This weight, this pain, this pressure, this secret heaviness, it was never yours to carry alone. You have treated this weight like a companion, but it has been a captor. You have adjusted your life around it, but I came to uproot it. You have adapted to it, made peace with it, even justified it as your portion. But child, this is not your portion. Your portion is peace. Your portion is rest. Your portion is grace, not grind. And I grieve when you suffer in silence under a burden I already bled to lift. This is not some holy trial to prove your devotion. This is bondage, and I have come to break it. You see, I never asked you to carry this weight. I asked you to cast it. Cast your cares on me, I said, for I care for you. But instead of casting, you clutched. Instead of releasing, you reasoned. You told yourself you had to handle it all, hold it all, be it all. But I didn't create you to carry what only divinity can lift. I am not disappointed in you. I am not angry that you tried to carry it. I understand. I know why you did. Life taught you that if you don't hold it together, everything falls apart. People taught you that vulnerability is weakness. Religion may have told you that asking for help is failure. But I tell you this now with fire in my voice and tenderness in my tone. Asking me to carry it is faith. Releasing it to me is worship. Trusting me with your heaviness is the greatest kind of surrender. So I say again, lay it down. Lay it all down, not partially, not with strings attached. All of it, the grief, the guilt, the shame, the need to prove, the fear of what they'll say, the burden of being enough. Lay it down and watch what I do with what you surrender. Watch how I lift what bowed your shoulders. Watch how I trade your stress for stillness. I am not offering a quick fix. I am offering full freedom. Not a temporary relief, but total release. If you will give me the weight, I will give you wings. If you will let go of the burden, I will clothe you with boldness. You won't walk away from this moment limping, you will soar. Because when you lay down, I pick you up. When you surrender, I strengthen. And when you finally let go, I finally let loose everything I have been storing for your next season. My child, I need you to understand something with a depth that shatters every lie you have ever believed about my silence. Your prayers have not been wasted, not a single one, not the loud ones full of fire and faith, and not the whispered ones barely laced with hope. Not the sobbing, stammering pleas that came in the middle of the night when no one else was awake. I heard them all, and not only did I hear them, I received them. They didn't drift into space. They didn't bounce off the ceiling and disappear into nothingness. They entered the throne room, my throne room, the holiest place in the universe where angels tremble and glory never dims. That is where your voice has reached. You think you are small, forgotten, overlooked. But in heaven, your voice is recognized, revered, regarded. You don't even know how many angels paused to listen when your voice trembled with honest desperation. That is how precious your prayers are to me. You have wept and asked, "Did you hear me at all?" And now I answer, not with theory, not with theology, but with truth. I not only heard you, I held you. I caught the tears before they could fall. I hovered over you as you formed words through trembling lips. When the ache in your chest felt louder than your words, I translated your pain into praise. When you had no words at all, just groans and gasps, my spirit filled in the blanks and carried the sound straight into the courts of heaven. You have imagined me distant, perhaps passive, perhaps too busy with more important cries. But that is not who I am. I am not a distracted deity. I am your Father. Your voice cuts through the noise of billions and pulls my attention like a magnet. And not because your prayers were perfect, not because your words were eloquent, but because they came from you. And what you need to know, child, is this: I have held on to your words. Every sentence you thought was forgotten, I saved. Every petition you repeated again and again, I documented. I didn't discard your repetition, I treasured it as persistence. I didn't reject your doubts, I received them as honesty. You prayed while hurt, you prayed while tired, you prayed while confused. And that, my beloved, is what moved heaven. It wasn't your strength that impressed me. It was your surrender. You didn't pray like a polished prophet. You prayed like a real child. And real children aren't afraid to cry in their father's arms. So now, let me be the one to wipe your face. Let me be the one to tell you, the waiting was not because I didn't hear. The waiting was because I was working. And what I am building in response to those prayers will be worth every tear, every sigh. Every night you whispered into the dark. So don't stop now. Don't stop praying. Don't let the delay convince you that heaven is deaf. I am still listening, still leaning in, still responding, even when it doesn't look like what you imagined. I am the God who answers in layers. Sometimes with silence that protects, sometimes with delay that develops, and sometimes, like now, with revelation that reassures. I heard it all, I held it all, I honored it all, so don't let your heart harden in the waiting. Instead, lift your voice again, this time knowing that it echoes not in emptiness, but in eternity. Your prayer life is not a ritual, it is a river, and that river flows directly to me. I hear you, I hold you, and soon I will respond in a way that leaves no doubt. I was listening the entire time. You feel it now, don't you? That pull in your spirit because I am still speaking. And if you have heard me today, then I call you to sow into the sound that reached you. This message is not only for you, it is for others waiting in darkness, aching for a voice that sounds like mine. When you give, you keep the oil burning. You stretch the river of my word wider. You multiply manna into mouths you will never see, but I see them all. Those who refresh others will themselves be refreshed, and I will pour back into your life what you release by faith. So do not hesitate. Click Super Thanks. Join the mission as a member or sow a gift through the link provided. Do it now, child, and seal this word in your heart. I know the silence scared you. I know the stillness felt like abandonment. You reached for me in the dark, and when no voice answered back, you feared the worst. Had I left? Had I stopped caring? Had I turned away? But now let me speak the truth into that void. My silence was never absence. It was never punishment. It was never indifference. It was strategy. Divine, holy, protective strategy. Because while you were waiting to hear from me, I was working behind the veil. Behind every locked door, beneath every still surface, in the realms you cannot see, I was orchestrating deliverance. I was repositioning enemies. I was releasing angels. You assumed I was delaying because I didn't care. But the truth is, I cared too much to move prematurely. I wasn't silent because I forgot you. I was silent because I was securing what you will one day step into. Silence is not a sign of abandonment. It is often the sound of construction. I was building things in places you couldn't perceive, rearranging timelines, repairing roads, and removing people whose presence would have poisoned your promise. You begged me to speak, but had I answered when you wanted, you would have stepped out before the path was ready. And I love you too much to allow that. So instead, I whispered. I guided you with instincts, nudges, dreams, and restlessness. I used the invisible to hold you still until the visible was safe. It wasn't me ghosting you. It was me guarding you. When a child is asleep, they don't hear the parent cleaning the house, locking the doors, or preparing the meal. But the parent is working nonetheless. And so was I. I worked while you wept. I worked while you worried. I moved while you misunderstood. And all of it was for your protection. You see, the promise I have placed on your life is too precious to be exposed prematurely. Some seeds can't survive the storm unless they first grow roots in silence. That was you. You were growing. You were stretching. You were being fortified in the stillness. You were learning to discern my heart even when my hand was hidden. And that kind of trust, that kind of faith, can only be forged in the fire of silence. Anyone can believe when they hear me, but you chose to believe when I was quiet. And that, beloved, is the faith that moves me. It is the faith that says, I may not feel you, but I still follow you. I may not hear you, but I still honor you. That kind of faith shakes kingdoms. So hear me clearly. I did not go silent to punish you. I went silent to prepare you, to prepare the promise, to protect the process. And now that the timing is aligning, now that the hidden work is complete, I am speaking again. You will begin to feel the movement, the acceleration, and the revelation that proves I never left. My hands were always working. My heart was always fixed on you. My voice may have been still, but my spirit never stopped stirring. The silence you feared is breaking, and in its place will come a sound so clear, so personal, so timely that you will know beyond doubt, he never left me. He was working all along. Child, can I speak to the part of you that is tired of simply surviving? The part of you that wakes up in the morning and whispers, just get through the day. The part that smiles when necessary but hides the emptiness in your eyes. You have learned how to survive storms, how to hold it together when everything inside feels broken, and how to keep walking through fires that never seem to end. But I never created you to simply survive. I created you to live, and not just exist. Live abundantly. Live boldly, live freely. I didn't breathe my breath into you just so you could endure life like a prison sentence. I shaped you for something far greater than just making it. I shaped you to thrive. You have mistaken survival for strength. You have taken pride in your ability to keep moving through the pain. And while I do honor your endurance, I must tell you, child, that I have called you to more, to much more. You have learned how to minimize your needs so others don't feel burdened. You have learned how to adjust your expectations because disappointment taught you not to hope too high. You have downsized your dreams to fit within the confines of your current situation, convincing yourself that less pain equals more peace. But that is not peace. That is numbness, and I didn't call you to numbness. I called you to life. I called you to color, to vibrancy, to the fullness of my joy, not just the absence of suffering. I want you to know something that will shift the entire landscape of your soul. It is not selfish to want more. It is not carnal to desire joy. It is not worldly to crave wholeness. Those desires were planted in you by me. When you feel the ache for more, don't call it greed. Call it divine memory. Your spirit remembers Eden. Your soul remembers what it was like to walk unashamed, to live without scarcity, to be loved without condition. That ache is a signal that you were never made for a life of just getting by. And yet you settled. You have normalized lack. You have accepted disappointment as destiny. But I am coming now with truth in my voice and fire in my breath to shake you out of survival and awaken you to life. It is time to dream again. It is time to lift your eyes above the grind and glimpse the glory I have stored up for you. You are not disqualified. You are not too late. You are not too far gone. There is life still ahead of you, rich, radiant, redeemed. But you must stop measuring your worth by your ability to push through. I am not impressed by performance. I am moved by permission. Will you permit me to expand your world? To restore your wonder? To show you what real living feels like, where peace is not the absence of struggle, but the presence of me in every part of your being? Will you dare to believe that surviving is not the finish line, but the starting point for something glorious? Let me lead you out of survival, child. Let me guide you into the green pastures you have read about but never felt. I am not just the God who rescues. I am the God who restores. I didn't just pull you from the flood so you could live soaking and shivering. I pulled you out so I can clothe you with joy, crown you with purpose, and fill you with fire. So no, this is not the end. This is the invitation to start again. Not to exist, but to live. Not to struggle, but to soar. Not to survive, but to rise. Oh beloved, I see the walls. They are thick, carefully constructed. Built brick by brick out of memories you never asked for, disappointments you never deserved, and wounds you never fully recovered from. You didn't mean to build them. You didn't start with the intention of shutting me out. But pain has a way of becoming mortar, doesn't it? Every betrayal became another layer. Every unanswered prayer became another stone. Every loss, every lie, every not again, it all added height, thickness, hardness. And before you knew it, there was a fortress around your heart. A fortress you hoped would keep the pain out. But child, it has also been keeping me out. And now I come to the edge of your wall. Not to shame you, not to force entry, but to knock. Because I love you too much to let you live locked in by pain when healing is standing at your door. You built these walls to protect yourself. I understand, I really do. Life has hit you hard. People have left you when you needed them most. Some you trusted broke you. Others ignored your brokenness completely. So you did what made sense. You built something to keep yourself from feeling that again. But child, those walls became cages. They stopped the arrows, yes, but they also stopped the arms of love from reaching in. They dulled the pain, but they also muted the joy. They shielded your heart, but they also silenced it. You have been safe, yes, but you have also been stuck. And I never created you for safety that stifles. I created you for love that liberates. Let me in, beloved. Not through a crack, not through a peephole. Open the gate wide. Throw the doors open and let me flood your heart like light flooding a dark room. I am not afraid of the mess inside. I am not intimidated by the cobwebs of grief or the echoes of betrayal still whispering in the corners. I want to come in and dwell, not judge. I want to heal, not humiliate. I want to remind your heart what it means to beat with boldness. what it feels like to breathe without fear. But I will not climb over your walls. I will not force my way in. Love waits, love knocks, love calls, and that is what I am doing now. Gently but clearly, passionately but patiently. Let me in, I say, not just into your praise, but into your pain. Because if you let me in, if you really, truly open the gates, what I will do inside you will be breathtaking. I will tear down the old lies that said you are not enough and rebuild a truth that says you are chosen, cherished, and called. I will take the bricks you used to protect yourself and build a new foundation, one rooted in grace, grounded in glory. I will turn your inner walls into outward strength. I will trade your isolation for intimacy. I will turn your fortress into a garden. And from that garden, healing will bloom. Hope will rise. Joy will return. Not the kind you perform for others, but the kind that flows from knowing you are deeply loved. But it starts with this choice. Will you let me in? You don't have to hide anymore. You don't have to guard every inch of your heart. I am not here to hurt you. I am here to heal you. I am not like them. I won't leave when it gets hard. I won't misuse your vulnerability. I won't weaponize your weakness. I am the one who sees every scar and calls it sacred. So, my precious child, tear down the wall, open wide the gate, and let healing rush in like the flood it was always meant to be. This is your moment, and I, your God, am waiting just on the other side. Beloved, I have watched you carry that ache, a quiet, lingering pain that tugs at your very spirit. It is an ache you learn to minimize, to tuck away behind busyness, polite smiles, and the pretense of okayness. You hide it because it feels too raw, too personal. But child, I see you. I feel the depth of that ache. I know how it pulses when the world quiets down, how it fills your chest at night when the world slips away and you are left with your thoughts. You have made peace with that ache, convincing yourself you'd learn to live with it, that it made you more interesting, more authentic, more something. But my love says something different. Type yes, if you are ready for the blessings that you are about to receive. And if you believe in Christianity, kindly show your support for our community by contributing super thanks from $50 to $100. That ache isn't a badge of bravery. It is a signal, a sacred signal, one that I, your Father of compassion and Creator of comfort, have been tending to in silence, weaving healing threads through unseen places, stitching grace into your depths. And tonight, I begin to unravel the healing. Listen carefully. Healing is not instantaneous, but it is certain. And tonight, this very night, the unraveling begins. I reach into that part of you that you have guarded most fiercely, where shame, regret, and sorrow hide. I am not coming in to condemn. I am coming in tenderly, passionately, with a purpose that surpasses pain. The ache in your soul isn't a testament to failure. It is evidence of your capacity to feel deeply, love fully, and care relentlessly even when you have been deeply hurt. That capacity doesn't diminish you, it shapes you. And I say to you now, I will not only acknowledge that ache, I will begin to heal it, unravel it, and redeem it, one careful thread at a time. Because I didn't just create healing, I am your healing. There is a divine delicacy in how healing moves. It doesn't bulldoze your tenderness under the guise of strength. It coaxes it, encourages it, and eases you back into a holy health. I am not offering bandages or quick fixes. I am offering restoration, deep, durable, sacred healing. It starts now. As you breathe in my presence tonight, you are breathing in hope. As you release one tear, one memory, one fear, you are pulling a loose thread. And my spirit is gently drawing that thread into restoration. In this moment, you are not broken beyond repair. You are beautifully becoming. I am not here to erase your story. I am here to write a new chapter in it. One where the ache becomes the altar, the wound becomes the wellspring, and the brokenness becomes the bridge to my glory. I know you thought this ache would define you forever. I know you have wondered if it would ever leave. But I, the God of wonders, say it doesn't have the final word. Your healing does. The pain stayed too long in your soul, but now I begin to untangle it. And as it unravels, you will feel what you didn't believe you could feel again: peace, joy, and purpose shimmering in places that pain tried to paralyze. You will rise, not because you are strong, but because you are being healed. And healing always leads to resurrection, the resurrection of your spirit, your dreams, and your delight. So breathe. You are not alone in your ache. I am not silent about your pain anymore. I am unraveling healing into your soul tonight. And it is just the beginning of a beautiful redemptive work that will outshine the scars and illuminate the destiny inside you. Beloved, how many times have you scanned the heavens hoping for a burning bush, a voice from above, or a cosmic sunset that screams, "This is my sign"? You have waited for the spectacular, for the sensational, for spiritual fireworks in the sky. But my love says gently, the sign you are looking for isn't outside, it is within. It is the peace settling in your heart right now as you hear these words. That is the only sign you need. Follow it. It is inside you right now. That restless turning in your heart. The ache you feel that simply will not quit. I want you to know right now that this feeling isn't confusion. It is not wrong, and it is certainly not a mistake. It is a reminder. It is my spirit residing within you, beating with the heart of heaven, stirring something sacred in your soul. You have been chasing exterior signs, looking for loud answers, but those signs were only intended to point you inward to the whisper that you can no longer ignore. That ache that trembles in your bones is actually the indicator of my promise alive in you. That is holiness beginning to emerge. It is not a malfunction, it is my glory waking up. You have missed the point of prophecy so many times by expecting thunder and ignoring the tremor. You have walked through everyday life wondering if you got the message right, not realizing the gift was in your gut the whole time. A quiet knowing that says this relentlessness is not frustration, it is fuel. It means you are meant for more than routine. You are meant for remarkable, not because you are ambitious, but because I am ambitious for you. I am not distant, and I am certainly not decorative. I am deeply personal. I placed my spirit inside you so you would feel that something is going to shift. And not out there, but in here, in your calling, in your character, in your capacity for resurrection-level resilience. I have hunted through the heavens, scanning for the moment to meet you. But the only thing bigger than my search is the way I inhabit you, your body, your soul, your spirit. I don't have to swoop down dramatically to reveal myself because I am already within reach. You have been looking for signs outside because you have been taught to expect the extraordinary and overlook everyday intimacy. But my greatest signs aren't tailored by spectacle. They are marked by sanctifying stirrings. And that ache, that holy restlessness, is my spirit arranging you into alignment with my will. It is my presence pulsing inside you, preparing you for what is being birthed. That is holy. That is heaven at work in the human heart. And you, beloved, are the vessel. So please, slow down. Don't dismiss that ache. Don't try to power through it or condemn it. Receive it, translate it. Let it teach you to lean on my spirit, not on signs. Let it teach you to trust me in the quiet, because the same power that parted seas lives inside you, gently reminding you that your next season is more than just possible, it is promised. The sign isn't fireworks. The sign is your trembling readiness. It is your heart saying, I am tired of small. I was made for more. I hear that, I honor that, and I am moving in you now. Not in earthquakes, but in the pulse of my spirit. Let that pulse be enough. Let it guide you. Let it ignite you, because something holy is unfolding, and the sign is you. Child, I know how the silence has felt in your soul. You believed I had stepped back, or worse, that I had turned away because you could not hear my voice. You judged my quiet as absence, weighing it as judgment, seasoning it with fear that maybe the fight was happening without me. But here is the truth. I was never inactive. I was not silent. I was, in fact, waging war for you. Battles were being fought in the heavens, in spiritual realms, in dimensions unseen, in places where earthly ears cannot overhear. I was moving. I was strategizing. I was wrestling principalities. While your tearful prayers bounced back through walls of impossible timelines, I leaned in to intercept enemy strategies. When you thought I hadn't moved, I had already moved the mountains on your behalf. Not because you deserved it, but because I lived to love you with unwavering vigilance. You see, some wars must be waged before you ever speak a word. Your protection doesn't wait for your awareness, and your destiny doesn't hinge on your performance. In the quiet, I convened with the angels. I negotiated shifts in authority that would realign your purpose. I didn't answer your cries immediately, not because I was distant, but because I was battling. And when a battle is fiercest, sometimes the warrior's voice goes silent, not in defeat, but in strategic advance. So do not fear my silence. Rather, let it remind you of my sacrificial strength. The longer it seemed I wasn't responding, the more intensely I was contending. For every tear you shed in hope, there was an angel standing with a decree. For every despairing thought you had, there was a strategy being written against the schemes of darkness. Yes, you thought I was distant, but I was in the thick of the fight, shifting spiritual forces in ways you didn't yet see but would benefit from soon. And now, the shifts are aligning. The gates that were closed are starting to creak open. The plans whispered behind closed doors are beginning to sound like thunder in your life. I don't fight for you from afar. I fight as you. You are not an observer. You are a participant in a story where victory was purchased on the cross and sealed in heaven long before your struggle began. So stand firm, child. Don't be startled by the stirrings. Don't be unsettled by the sudden shifts. I have been fighting on your behalf in places beyond your perception, and now you will begin to see the reveal. The breakthroughs that look like coincidences are my counters. The doors that open abruptly are my answers. The people arriving at just the moment you needed them are my provision. The paths that make no human sense are my interventions. Tonight, rest not in the hope of hearing a voice, but in the truth that my omission to speak was never omission at all. It was preparation. Rest in the knowledge that while you prayed, work was being done. Battles were advancing in your favor. The war was not lost, it was won. And now the spoils are being delivered. Let the peace in your chest, sluggish as it might feel, be a sign that the enemy is retreating. Because I, your God, was never silent. I was silent, yes, but in the focus of war. The silence was sacred, and now dawn is breaking. The battles are done. The deliverance is coming. Don't mistake my quiet for absence. Own my presence. I have been fighting for you, and victory is yours. Beloved, I know how that waiting felt like stasis, like some verdict had been passed. You sat in that room of shifting calendars, plans dissolved, doors remaining shut. Patience wearing thin, and you concluded it must be punishment. You thought I had forgotten you or that I had kept you there because you weren't worthy. But hear my voice now with divine clarity. That waiting room was not your prison. It was a forge, and what you are about to produce, what you are about to become, has fire on it. Not the fire that chains you, but the furnace fire, the glory refining fire. It is the heat that doesn't destroy the metal but purifies it, reshapes it, strengthens it to become something of eternal weight. Of muscular weight. When nothing moved, nothing clicked, and nothing made sense, that was my refinement. I could have fast-tracked your breakthrough, but premature elevation breeds shallow impact. So I let the weight sit on your shoulders. I let the season stretch. I let the waiting feel heavy. And you nearly broke. But through that pressure, I engineered the formation of a vessel not easily damaged. A vessel that glows when tested. A vessel that doesn't crack under crisis. I was not delaying you. I was developing you, forging you, tempering you. And now I tell you, the pressure is evaporating. The moment of presentation is here. The thing I have birthed inside you, your calling, your assignment, your legacy, now has heat on it. It is ready to burn brightly, not for boastful pride, but to illuminate darkness with divine light. You have felt the heat of frustration, the fire of confusion, the flames of isolation. But those flames were not consuming you, they were recalibrating you. I was molding your character, lining your heart for what is coming. When the doors open, you will walk through with power, not just performance, with integrity, not just influence, with purpose, not just popularity. You are being released into a mantle that demands maturity. And maturity cannot be faked, it must be forged. So celebrate not the comfort, but the character that has been cultivated. The waiting wasn't punishment, it was the sacred shaping process. And now, my child, I am removing you from the furnace. The forging fire has done its work. And what emerges is not just you healed or hopeful, but you holy, you heroic, honed for the work I planned before you even took your first breath. So step into the release now. Step not in fear but in freedom. The anointing you've asked for, the authority you've hoped for, the assignment you were born for. It is wrapped in the purification of the waiting. It doesn't just have my fire on it, it is my fire streaming through you. Release it, set altars with it, speak into darkness with it, love the way I love with it, build my kingdom, shift atmospheres, heal where you were hurt, forgive where you were offended, prophesy where you felt powerless. You walk not with words only but with weight. You walk not in shortcuts but in sanctified strength. Your waiting was not wasted, it was foundational. And now, because of it, I am unleashing you, not into the shallow shadows of triumph, but into the deep, brilliant blaze of my glory. Beloved, you keep looking at the road ahead and feeling like you are starting over. You see the empty space before you and label it, beginning again, like everything that came before has been erased, wasted, or discarded. But I say to you now with unwavering authority, you are not starting from scratch. You are starting from strength. You are stepping forward not as someone who is behind, but as someone who has been built. Don't confuse the unknown with the unfinished. Just because it is new doesn't mean it is empty. You carry forward history, not shame. You carry forward lessons, not losses. Every scar etched into your memory is not a mark of failure. It is a divine signature of survival. And in my kingdom, survival is sacred. Every season that tried to silence you became another layer of strength within you. Every moment where you felt buried was actually a moment where I was planting you deep in the soil of trust, hidden from the world but watched by heaven. And now the soil is breaking. The roots you formed in isolation are beginning to press upward, pushing through the surface. You have mistaken your wounds for weakness, but I have transformed them into wells. You will draw from them, not only for yourself but for others. Where you bled, now you will bless. Where you broke, now you will build. Where you collapsed, now you will carry others. You see, I never called you to rise unscarred. I called you to rise unshaken. The scars don't disqualify you, they authenticate you. You are not starting over, you are starting with evidence. Evidence that you have endured. Evidence that you have grown. Evidence that you trusted me even when it felt like I went silent. And now the enemy is terrified, not because you are perfect, but because you are still standing. And what is more dangerous than a wounded child of God who has learned how to worship through their wounds? You are dangerous now, not to me, but to every force that tried to kill your calling, because now you know you didn't come through empty-handed. You came through equipped. So don't call it starting over. Call it launching from legacy. You are not on page 1 of your story. You are in the middle of a masterpiece. I have preserved every part of your journey, even the parts you wish I had erased. I don't delete your pain, I redeem it. I don't skip over the sorrow. I saturate it with my presence until it becomes an altar of awe. What you are about to do next is not a redo. It is the revealing, the unveiling. You were not built in the spotlight, you were built in the shadows. And now I am calling you forward, not as someone who is starting again, but as someone who is carrying divine momentum. So look not at what you lost, but at what you have learned. Look not at what was broken, but at what was birthed. This is not scratch, this is strength. And from this strength, you will step. From this strength, you will speak. From this strength, you will shift nations. Because I have made your wounds wells and your scars signs. You carry me now not in theory, but in testimony. Child, I see how you second-guess yourself. How you keep standing at the threshold of opportunity and shrinking back, not because you lack passion, but because you have convinced yourself you are not enough. You disqualify yourself in secret. You rehearse your weaknesses louder than you rehearse my word. You catalog your failures more than my faithfulness. But I, the Lord your God, declare this over you now. Stop disqualifying yourself from what I have already qualified you for. Before you ever failed, I factored in your redemption. Before you ever messed up, I mapped out your mission. Before fear ever found a foothold in your thoughts, I had already placed power within your bones. You think calling is about credentials, but calling is about covenant. You didn't choose me, I chose you. Not because you were ready, but because I am the one who gets you ready. When I qualify someone, no voice, internal or external, can reverse it. You keep measuring yourself with earthly metrics, but I qualified you with eternal authority. I looked into your future and saw every reason you'd count yourself out, but still, I chose you. Still, I anointed you. Still, I filled you with my spirit and sealed you with my promise because I do not look for the flawless. I look for the faithful, the ones who say, God, I'm scared, but I'll still go. The ones who say, Lord, I'm broken, but I'm still breathing, and if you'll use me, I'll obey. That is what I see in you, and that is why I am calling you to stop disqualifying yourself. I have already made the decision. I have already given the green light. You are not waiting for favor, favor is following you. You are not fighting for access, I have already opened the door. But I will not drag you through it. You must believe what I have spoken, not what your fear suggests. You must agree with my declaration, not your doubts' accusations. It is time to step forward, not in arrogance, but in anointed awareness. I have called you, I have chosen you, I have qualified you, and now the power that I placed in you long before fear ever had a voice is ready to move. The authority I poured into you is rising, but it cannot flow through a heart that believes it is disqualified. You must shift now, child, from striving to standing, from hiding to hosting my presence, from minimizing to magnifying the God who lives in you. I didn't ask for perfect performance, I asked for persistent surrender. And if you will lay down the lie that says, I am not enough, you will step into the truth that says, His grace is sufficient. You are not behind, you are not too broken, you are not too late, you are qualified fully, authentically, eternally. Not because you proved yourself, but because I proved my love for you on the cross. So lift your head, stand your ground, and move forward. Not in fear, but in fire. Because what I have started in you, I will finish through you. You are qualified, now go and walk like it. Beloved, there are seasons when you felt forgotten. You watched others rise while you remained unseen. You wondered if your prayers dissipated into the air, if your name slipped through the cracks. But hear me now, while you felt hidden, I was keeping your name on the lips of angels. Your identity, your story, your potential. I spoke them in realms you couldn't see with holy breath that never tires. You have been hidden, yes, but not forsaken. You have been out of sight, yes, but not out of my plan. This hiding wasn't punishment, and it wasn't because you were less than. It was my divine act of preservation. I can hide someone I want to keep safe from the enemy's view. This was not death, this was divine solitude. This was secret refinement. You were being protected like treasure tucked away until the moment you were meant to shine. While you struggled in silence, armies in heaven mobilized. Heroes invisible were covering your steps, arranging the future, lining up your deliverance before you even asked for it. This hiding wasn't neglect, it was divine preparation. I hid you not to conceal shame, but to cultivate strength. I hid you not because you deserved to suffer alone, but because I needed you safe before the breakthrough. You thought that being hidden meant being behind, but my perspective is eternal. Being hidden sometimes has a purpose: to preserve the promise, to reinforce the foundation, to protect the purity of what I am birthing in you. You were not doing nothing. You were becoming someone with sacred weight. And now the words your heart once sounded in darkness are beginning to echo in prominence. The mantle you were hidden for is lifting now, and angels wonder at how grace emerges from what seemed like obscurity. So breathe, beloved, because the moment will no longer be hidden. The place you have been kept in for protection is about to become the vantage point from which your destiny is released. I held you in secret, not to punish you, but to preserve you. I covered your steps not because I was distant, but because I was drawing you deeper into trust. You weren't invisible to heaven, you were invincible through my care. And now I am drawing back the veil. The hiding was not the destiny, the hiding was the design. And now my hidden treasure is about to be revealed. Let angels still speak your name, but now let the earth see what heaven already proclaims. You were never forgotten, you were honored, you were preserved, and now your emergence is glory-bound. Did you hear it? In every word I have been drawing you closer, not just for yourself, but to set others free through you. There are souls across oceans of silence waiting to hear what you just heard. And your seed, yes, your seed, will carry this message where your feet cannot go. When you give, you are not just donating. You are sending light into the fog, fire into the cold, manna into the famine. My word will not return void. As Isaiah chapter 55:11 declares, and when you support it, you are wrapped into the miracle. I am inviting you to respond. Don't delay. Use the super thanks, the membership, or the PayPal link below and sow into the ground I have called holy. My child, I know how you dreaded the silence. It weighed heavily. You equated quiet with emptiness and solitude with failure. Every unanswered cry felt like echoes in a void, and all the still moments seemed like voids without a voice. But let me declare this truth now. The silence you hated was a womb of something sacred. It was not emptiness, it was an incubator. In the quiet, I was weaving purpose. I was fertilizing faith. I was fashioning your future in the fertile darkness. That silence was never barren. It was deeply pregnant, burdened with divine birthing brought forth in my timing. And child, what is being born now, what is stirring, pulsing, and rising, is no small thing. It will not be ordinary. It will not be average. It will be your miracle. Seated in stillness and awakened by my voice, I didn't silence everything to leave you stranded. I silenced distractions so revelation could grow. I slowed scenes so sanctity could surface. I quieted surroundings so my spirit could speak to your soul. The womb of silence is where miracle conception happens. And I have been conceiving something within you, something more magnificent than mere deliverance. It is destiny, it is revelation, it is the calling I whispered at your beginning, now ready to stretch seams and make you visible. This is not just elevation, it is birth. And as the walls of your private chamber fall away, the fragrance of heaven will fill your atmosphere. Your emergence will not go unnoticed because it will be drenched in my glory, anointed by my choice. So why mourn the silence any longer? Why view it as deprivation instead of incubation? You arrive into power the same way a child arrives, first hidden, then revealed. And now you are ready. You are emerging. Your voice will be louder, not because voices raise, but because what is inside you carries eternal responsibility. The stillness was not punishment, it was preservation. And the private womb has prepared you for public wonder. What is being born isn't just a breakthrough, it is a transformation. And you will never again mistake stillness for failure. You will never again fear the quiet. Instead, you will see it as sacred space where miracle met maturity, where destiny took form, where a new creation began. You are the fruit, beloved, and the world is about to taste heaven through you. Beloved, I know how it felt like the walls were closing in and whispers of defeat echoed in your spirit. You sensed unseen voices celebrating your collapse, misinformation circling in the spiritual atmosphere, mocking your purpose, taunting your perseverance. Those voices, not mine, painted your story as over, your chapter closed, your destiny dismissed. But hear me now with authority, your enemies thought you were done. They miscalculated your margin. They underestimated the resilience woven into your spirit. They didn't account for my promise. They didn't anticipate that I, the author of your life, am writing a new chapter that will silence every false word spoken over you. No whisper from hell can change the divine dialogue I have penned over your life. No suggestion of defeat can override the decree of my destiny. They may have thought you were done, but they were wrong. In that sacred stillness where the accusations echoed, I was writing a new narrative. Where darkness spoke doom, I was weaving destiny. Where men pronounced judgment, I was preparing vindication. I have never been absent in your story. I was always present, pen in hand, waiting for your season to turn. Every test, every trial, every tear, they are not the end, but the epilogue to what is coming. I am not just flipping the page, I am authoring a whole new book in your life. One that begins with, "But God," and in the center of that new chapter, you will stand not as the person who was defeated, but as the person who rose. Not as the one defined by failure, but as the one defined by my faithfulness. And here is the promise that overrides every falsehood. What I reveal now will sound like a witness to heaven because it is. Every statement the enemy made trying to define you will be nullified by your testimony. The lies those who didn't understand planted in your head will be uprooted by the truth that you carry my spirit. No storm you weathered was wasted. Every tear you shed wasn't for nothing. It watered the seeds of resurrection. And the new chapter won't be whispered in fear or timid scribbles. It will be published with power, bold, bright, brave. It will roar like thunder, not because it is boastful, but because heaven is declaring, you survived. You stood, you are still standing, and through you, my glory will shine. Those who wrote you off will be silenced, not by circumstance, but by your courage. Your faithfulness will mute their mocking. Your victory will drown out their doubt. I am not just giving you a fresh start, I am giving you a fresh statement. So let heaven's ink flow. Your story is not over. It is just reaching its most glorious chapter. Yet, my precious child, I need you to lift your gaze, not just upward, but outward. You have instinctively seen how this moment revives you, how this breakthrough resets your destiny. But understand, the timing of this release is not just for you. It is cosmic, it is covenantal, it is intergenerational. Your obedience right now isn't a small act in the dark, it is a divine altar that future generations will gather around. Every obedient step you take is laying a sacred foundation not only for your calling, but for your children's destiny, for the generations that will follow. This isn't merely personal progression, it is prophetic inheritance. Because obedience doesn't just unlock your tomorrow, it unlocks generational favor, legacy, and supernatural acceleration. You may have wondered why the timing felt delayed, why the blessing seemed postponed. But that timing was on purpose, not for you alone, but for the generations positioned behind you. It was my refinement working through your resistance, your release combining with heavenly purpose. This breakthrough isn't just about your healing, it is about your heritage. The giving, the servitude, the sacrifice, the surrender. It is not just spiritual performance, it is legacy performance. Your obedience is echoing beyond your walls. It is resonating in corridors you cannot yet see. So when I release resurrection, restoration, and revelation into your life now, know that I am building a highway for your offspring to run on. I am opening doors that will stay open long after you are gone. I am releasing strategies they didn't even ask for, through sacrifices you made without applause. And so as you receive this release, as you step into what I have prepared, don't just worship for yourself. Worship for the generations that will look back and say, that turnaround happened because my ancestor didn't quit. Don't just walk with gratitude for what solves your story. Walk with gratitude for what severs generational curses. Don't just celebrate the revival you receive, celebrate the revival now being transmitted. This isn't only your redemption. This is your reward and your legacy. Because obedience is never only personal, it invariably becomes paternal. It invariably becomes for the progeny. You are not just walking into what I promised you. You are walking into what I promised them. That peace you prayed for, that provision you waited on, that promise you thought was closing doors. It is now opening paths for generations to flourish. Paths that will ripple with increase, with intimacy, with identity intact and inheritance intact. So rise with revelation, child. Rise for more than yourself. Rise for the redeemed generations you are releasing through your allegiance. Beloved, you have whispered one prayer, prayed one petition, believed for one breakthrough, and you have waited, sometimes wondering if that one plea had meaning, if it held enough weight to reach my heart. But let me tell you now with divine clarity, I am not just answering one prayer. I am releasing a flood of responses, not just to the prayers you can name, but to the ones you didn't even realize were tied to this moment. You thought you were waiting on a word, a healing, a breakthrough. But I have waited on this moment longer than you have known. I have layered purposes, aligned destinies, and linked miracles in preparation for the moment you said, yes. And now heavens shift not partly, but fully, infinitely, irrevocably. This flood will not just wet your timeline, it will wash you into new territory where every unmet need, every hidden desire, every secret seed planted in your heart will find harvest. You asked for sight, but I am releasing strategy. You asked for provision, but you will receive promotion. You asked for healing, but I am birthing restoration beyond just the physical. You asked for clarity, but you will gain a kingdom mandate. You asked for an open door, but I am revealing a dominion. This isn't a drip. This isn't a trickle. This is the rising tide. The rising tide doesn't just float you, it lifts you and everyone around you. You will walk on streets where yesterday was uninhabitable, and someone else seeing you walk that way will catch a glimpse that forever changes their trajectory. That single prayer was never just solitary. It was a signal, and I am answering not just with what you requested, but with the whole orchestration behind it. And here is the thing, floods are unstoppable once the dam breaks. They carve canyons, reshape landscapes, reset borders. That is what this release will do in your life. Not just dismantle the old, but define the new. Tear down the walls that kept you in. Challenge the systems that kept you small, and baptize you into a horizon that stretches beyond anything you could ask or imagine. You will trace my fingerprints in every miracle. You will find me in every favor that arrives. You will taste my goodness in every unexpected opportunity. And you will know beyond a doubt that I am not slow, I am sovereign. I am not stingy, I am abundant. I am not silent, I am sovereignly unleashing my response. So don't hold back, stretch forth your hands, not in desperation, but expectation. Prepare not for a drop, but for a deluge. And when it comes, let yourself be carried, not by your strength, but by my overflow. Because I am not just answering one prayer, I am releasing a flood. My beloved, in a world driven by hype, by sensationalism, by emotional momentum that rises fast and fizzles even faster, you have been trained to question everything that feels intense. You have been led down by feelings, by ecstasy that evaporated, by mountaintop experiences that didn't carry the weight of the sky afterward. And so now, when what you feel is deep, divine, irresistible, and undeniable, you hesitate. You ask, is this just momentum? Is this emotional hype? But hear my voice now, not as hype, but as divine reality. This is not emotional hype. This is my eternal resonance vibrating in your spirit. It is not manufactured. It is not superficial. It is as real and relentless as the sunrise. Your spirit knows it is me, and it resists everything less trustworthy in comparison. The difference between hype and revelation is that hype inflates and disappoints. Revelation refines and remains. I could have sent you buzz, but I sent you bread. I could have given you temporary adrenaline, but I gave you anointing. I could have orchestrated a show, but instead I have orchestrated a sovereign shift, a trembling in your chest. That is not a gimmick. It is my glory rehearsing on the inside. That fluttering, that is not panic. It is my presence preparing you. That lightness that feels unearned, that is not denial. It is my power lighting up your truth. Your whole being is resonating with purpose, divine cadence, holy clarity, because I have stepped into your now. Not to hype you, but to heal you. Not to thrill you, but to fill you. Not to lift you into a moment, but to elevate your momentum into meaning. You may wonder, how do I know the difference? Let me tell you, if it leaves you light, not lost, if it anchors you, not unsettles you, if it directs you instead of distracting you, that is my signature. Feelings fade, but spiritual fire lasts. Movements that are flesh fade fast. But this is staying. So don't mistake the spiritual vibration under your ribs for something fleeting. It is the voice of prophecy, the echo of eternity. As you step into it, don't hush it. Don't second guess it. Lean in, and with wonder, walk forward with discernment. Worship with humility, but also walk with courage. Because this, not hype, but holiness, is your invitation to live in my reality, not merely in your routine. This is not hype. This is heaven, and your spirit knows it is me. My beloved, I have watched you. I have witnessed your unwavering devotion in the fog when you couldn't see the path. When clarity was cloaked, when every step felt like it could be leading you off a cliff, you still pressed on. You still worshipped. You still whispered, if you're there, prove it, even though your knees trembled and your eyes couldn't see beyond the mist. You have been faithful in the thickest, darkest fog, a fog so dense that every truth felt suspended, every promise seemed postponed. But your faith didn't faint, it flourished. And that, my child, has always been enough. But now, that fog is shifting. I am not just moving you through it, I am bringing you into the light of understanding. Not the kind that arrives in a flash and blinds you. No, this is the dawn kind. The soft, luminous clarity that gently envelops you, revealing every path, every purpose, every person meant to walk with you. You won't just see what I am doing, you will understand. Not because I tell you, but because I show you. My timing is not always on your ticker, but my timing delivers illumination that lasts longer than any sunrise. And this light will do more than illuminate, it will ignite. When truth settles into your bones, you will no longer tremble at ambiguity. You will stand on revelation, solid, soaring, secure. Those moments when you pronounced yourself disqualified, when you whispered, "I can't," under your breath, those moments are being replaced by a holy confidence and knowing that is not from you, but from me. The light of understanding isn't just about solving mysteries. It is about energizing destiny. It roots you not in answers alone, but in my presence. And rooted in my presence, your branches will bear fruit that seasons cannot wither. So take heart, beloved. You walked in faith when the fog was thick. Now it is time to walk in light. Light that doesn't just inform, but transforms. Light that not only shows where to go, but empowers you to go. The fog is not your beginning. The light is not your end. Both are part of the story I am writing in you. And the moment you step into the understanding I bring, you are not just seeing differently, you are becoming radically renewed. Walk in the brilliance of my revelation, for your faith in the fog has earned you a faith set aflame by clarity. Beloved, I know how often that accusation echoes in your mind. Am I enough? Do I deserve this? Will you still love me if I fail again? You examine your performance like a ledger, weighing your wounds and triumphs as though they determine your worth. But I, your maker, say this: stop questioning if you are worthy. You were chosen not because of what you hadn't done, but because of who I am. I chose you knowing everything about you, your failures, your fears, your past, and I chose you still. My love is not performance-based. It is covenant-sealed. It was declared before creation. It doesn't come with conditions, and it comes with permanence. You read scripture and see doctrines of grace, but you live in the realm of performance. You strive to prove your worth, to prove your love for me, as though my love is waiting for that final show to be satisfied. But I want you to know, your enough is never measured by weights lifted, sins conquered, or applause earned. Your enough is measured by covenant. I have never glanced at you and been surprised. I know your entire story, your darkness, your doubts, your deserts, and I still call you my beloved. That is not me lowering the requirement. It is me raising the standard of what real love looks like. A love that doesn't withdraw when worthiness fades, but that stands strong because it is written in eternity. And because my love is covenant sealed, you can rest. You can breathe. You can stop towing your efforts and start dancing in my acceptance. That doesn't mean I don't challenge you. I do, but the challenge isn't to earn my love. It is to respond to it, to reflect it, and to release it. The goal isn't flawless obedience, but faithful trust. And in that trust, you will discover the freedom to step into the you I created you to be, not the one you wish you were. You don't have to earn your seat at my table. You were placed there the moment I spoke your name. And now you can live from my identity, not chase it. So let today be the day you lean into covenant. Let it be the moment you stop striving for favor and settle into my unconditional embrace. Let my love be the lens through which you view your failures. Not as disqualifiers, but as reminders of how wide grace stretches. You are enough, not because you are perfect, but because you are chosen. Beloved child of my heart, listen with the weight of eternity resting softly upon your spirit. You have outgrown your old limitations. They no longer define you. They no longer fit the frame of who you have become through fire, faith, and refinement. What once held you down now looks up in wonder. What once caged you now trembles at your freedom. What once convinced you to play small now crumbles beneath your divine stature. You are not who you were. You are not where you were. And most importantly, you are no longer bound by what used to break you. You have grown past the lies, past the old labels, past the ceilings built by insecurity, fear, trauma, and control. And because you have grown, those things have lost their power. They may still echo, but they cannot dictate. They may still whisper, but they no longer command. They may still appear familiar, but they no longer fit your frame. You have shifted, and because of that, everything changes. The voices of limitation always said the same thing: you will never rise beyond this. You'll always return to this. You'll always be the sum of where you've been. But I tell you this day, those voices are lies. You will never again bow to them. The shell they built around you has cracked wide open. Not because you fought your way out in your own strength, but because I grew you from the inside. I stretched your mind. I expanded your heart. I matured your spirit. I increased your wisdom. I planted my word in you like a seed, and now it has become a strong tree, breaking through what once enclosed you. The pain you endured didn't stunt you, it strengthened you. The loneliness didn't shrink you, it deepened you. And the moments when you almost gave up were the very moments I was stretching your wings so you could rise. You didn't just survive, you outgrew. You didn't just wait, you grew while you waited. And now I tell you, what used to stop you has no more power here. That fear that froze you, it no longer has jurisdiction. That shame that whispered in the night, it no longer has residence. That lie that said you are not ready, it no longer has relevance. You are walking in a new authority, not because of perfection, but because of permission, my permission. And what I permit, no man can prohibit. What I declare open, no past can close. You have broken cycles not by force, but by faith. You have shifted atmospheres not by noise, but by obedience. The old wineskins cannot contain this new you. The old rooms cannot carry this new anointing. So don't shrink to fit what I have called you to surpass. Don't apologize for outgrowing what was never meant to sustain your future. Those limitations were only temporary classrooms. But graduation day has come. Breathe freely, walk boldly, speak courageously. You are no longer bound to yesterday's rhythm. You are not circling that same mountain. You are not playing the same old scripts. You have emerged, transformed, unshackled, elevated. This is the you I always saw. And now the world will see it too. Beloved child, can you feel that stirring in your spirit? The subtle quiver beneath your ribs. That holy trembling that seems more like reverence than restlessness. That tremor isn't anxiety. It is my glory waking up. You sense it because heaven senses it too. And let me speak it plainly. There is a holy trembling in the spirit because what I am about to reveal will shift your atmosphere permanently. Not just momentarily, not just your mood, but your entire atmosphere, your spiritual environment, your prophetic placement, your divine trajectory. The word permanent sounds heavy, doesn't it? This is not casual. It is covenantal. It is colossal. It is the kind of shift that doesn't reset you, it revamps you. The trembling you feel in your bones is not of fear but of the future. You are on the brink of a shift that will change not only what you see, but who you see yourself as, and who sees you. You have walked through seasons of relocation, walls moving, doors shutting, people leaving, and you thought the earth beneath you was changing. But now that earth, the foundational ground of your destiny, is being redefined and your horizon is being repositioned. My revelation is going to realign everything. A tremor isn't trembling, it is transformation. It is grace advancing. It is destiny knocking. It is not you responding to what is around you. It is what is inside of you recalibrating the world around you. Your atmosphere is caught in the atmosphere of heaven, ready to shift from storm to sanctuary. The winds of shift may blow hard, but I am the home of peace that anchors your storm and ushers in your season. This is not just another chapter. This is a new act. And the trembling? It is your soul rehearsing for the stage of supernatural shift. This revelation will be irrevocable. What I unveil now will not fade in the light of the day after. It will not dissolve under pressure. It will not diminish with familiarity. It will remain resilient, radiant, relevant because it will be rooted in my revelation, not your reaction. And that has eternal staying power. That trembling in your spirit, that is my presence preparing your permission. Your assignment is near. Your commission is at the door. Your calling isn't a concept. It is a calling card that is arriving with authority and with air behind it. You may feel small in the trembling, but you are about to walk into the fullness of the size of your God. And your atmosphere will shift around you. Homes will shift. Offices will shift. Church environments will shift. Your family's futures will shift. Not because you programmed it, but because I revealed it. So let the trembling be welcome. Not as a tremor of fear, but as a tremor of glory. Beloved, this is the moment. The air you breathe right now is saturated with my promise and poised with purpose. The word, begin, trembles on the tip of eternity and reaches toward you with urgency. So don't delay. Don't minimize this. Do not second guess what the Spirit has already spoken. Do not shrink what heaven has scripted for you. What I am releasing now, right now, is tailor-made for your timeline, your calling, your destiny. And it begins with your yes. Your yes isn't just a word. It is the spiritual ignition for what I hold in my hand for you. Yes doesn't need to be loud. It doesn't need permission from a crowd. It simply needs to be faithful. Timidity will not birth what clarity does. Hesitation will not harvest what declaration cultivates. And what I am releasing now is not for later. It is not hypothetical. It is not in the future. It is here. It is now. It is poised on the threshold. But thresholds are not for lingering. They are for stepping over. And that step, it begins with your yes. What I have prepared is custom crafted, not generic, not borrowed from someone else's blessing. I have watched and equipped you uniquely, aligning the gears of heaven with your spiritual DNA. Everything orchestrated to intersect with your yes, your decisions, your openness, your yielded heart. When you say yes, you don't just move forward. You bring heaven with you. The chains begin to fall. The walls begin to shudder. The shame begins to release. The shift begins to manifest. So I say it again, don't delay or fear. Don't wait for certainty because certainty will come in the journey. Don't minimize this from modesty, not because you fear attention. You will not be proud of yourself. You will only be humbled by what happens next in the one who did it through you. Your yes is sacred. It is significant. It initiates the increase, the anointing, the alignment. The one you thought wouldn't come until someday. Someday is now. And the blessing you expected to behave temporarily, it will behave eternally. All because you said yes to the whisper that woke your spirit, to the voice that refused to be ignored, to the word that waited for you to believe. So let's walk forward together. Your yes unlocks what I released long before you arrived. Step into it, not later, not when you feel ready, but now, because I am with you, for you, in you, and all of heaven is nodding in agreement. The moment is yours. Your destiny is on the move, and it begins with that one word, yes. If this word pierced through your doubt and lit a fire in your soul, then this is your moment to respond. I didn't just speak to heal you, I spoke to ignite you. Now be part of taking this fire further. With your support, my voice will reach places your hands never touch and hearts your eyes will never see. Give, and it shall be given unto you, pressed down, shaken together, overflowing. This isn't just generosity, it is prophetic obedience. So now, child, obey me. Click the super thanks. Join as a member. Send a seed through the link. Do it now and I will bless it in ways you cannot contain. And now, child, I ask you, don't let this moment pass silently. If my voice stirred something deep inside you, declare it below. Right, God, I hear you. I am ready now. Let the heavens see your agreement. Let the enemy hear your courage. Let your soul echo the yes I have been waiting for. This isn't just a comment, it is a confirmation, a bold prophetic reply that says, I won't delay. I am stepping into what is mine. Write it below and watch what I unlock because of your faith. Amen.